I don't believe trade is the main driver of that, but I'll grant that it does happen sometimes.
Who cares about bringing in money? Okay, the whole idea of running like a business.
I don't really think it's something that you should take. I don't know.
The argument against charging people rent?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, typically the philosophical argument against
That's a legitimate criticism. I mean, you look at why USA was even invented.
I don't know. Like, I think a recurring theme or a recurring trend is that
less and less government. I want personal responsibility. I want personal accountability.
Say that I'm like left and liberal. I don't identify as like a communist or socialist or any of this stuff. Probably like a.
Why would that be revelatory to know that water boils in?
About people who are diplomats or ambassadors from other.
Did I say that? Did I say that it was theoretically possible to include like it increase?
Natural society is a society where it's survival of.
You can. What you're describing, you can't do. It's first of all not what I'm talking about. Second of all, we can't.
So basically, like, even your Lord and Savior Donald Trump didn't do the best job.
That nature, you refer to it as being conscious, or the conscious community.
So I think that gay marriage at the constitutional at the Supreme Court level actually.
No, but my man is in the building.
And I find it very interesting that fellow believers are.
Sure, there are examples, but these are minor examples compared to the ones that I'm giving. I'm talking about two.
It's unconstitutional, they shouldn't do it. But now they're arguing about, well, if they do it.
This video with your little blonde hair. Yeah, that's what your mom said last night, too.
Let's ignore USAID. That's obviously upsetting you, and I get that because.
No, it's not upsetting me.
There's a reason I'm successful. There's a reason why I'm liked.
This is exactly why Democrats.
Gibbs!
Hey.
Are you ready for a fun show tonight?
Oh, I'm always ready. I'm ready to hand out some whoopings, boys. It's going to be good.
Whoopings! I love you so much, Gibbs. You crack me up. You don't tell anyone else, but you're my favorite.
I listen, I'm everybody's favorite. Honestly, like I said, I'm like the modern Ric Flair for debate. They just ain't ready for a taste of the Big Daddy. Woo!
Well, good evening and welcome back, Maters, to Mater Nation. I am Sarah the Raging Tomato, bringing to you a throwdown tonight on a Wednesday. Because you know what? We felt like being different. We said, we're not going to do a throwdown Thursday. We're going to do a throwdown Wednesday because why not, Gibbs, right? Why not? Right. And Gibbs and I are going to be going to Vegas. We will be out there, Sunday through Thursday? No, Wednesday. Sunday through Wednesday. We are going to be kicking ass and taking names over on the Digital Social Hour podcast. We're also planning on giving to you much more IRL content as well. So stay tuned on both my channel, Gibbs channel, and all that fun stuff. If you're not over on Twitch, okay, everyone that's sitting at home with a laptop right now, you have the ability to pull open multiple tabs. So right now you're watching here, Gibbs and I on YouTube, but you can open up another tab right now on Twitch, and you can go over to twitch.tv, and then you type in Admiral Gibbs, or you type in The Raging Tomato, and then you pull up your little Twitchy doohickey, and then you pull that open on a separate tab. You subscribe, you follow, you get all that stuff, and you have some fun. And you're giving us both likes, views, clicks, all that fun stuff, which is what we need to survive, right? It's like water. It's like water it's oxygen.
We don't do this for your pleasure. We're doing it for the dinero and the narcissism. Like, if we're being honest, and so you can add our stats. We appreciate it, and our wallets. Big fans.
Exactly. So Gibbs brought forth to us not isolationism, not isolation anything. No, it's not isolation, Sarah. He says America is making a modern return to Fortress America. And he's prepped, ladies and gentlemen, he's prepped with a PowerPoint. Okay. I expect this from my science nerds, but I do not expect this from Sir Gibbs.
Yes. Also, thank you, Frosty, for the tier 3 sub. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Yeah. Once again, by the way, Frosty, there is a new tier 3 emote that only you are going to have. So I'm happy for you. I mean, as for what you said, as for the science nerds, I am a science nerd, a political science nerd, and I not only made a PowerPoint, boys, I also made my own political cartoons to go along with it. So we'll see how good they were. I'm pretty excited. A lot of work went into this in the last hour and a half. So now, yeah, no, don't worry. I had the notes ready for months. I just was like, oh, we're gonna take our production game up. We got the AI helping us find clips. We're expanding to other social medias, and you know what? Now we got a little time. Why don't we go and make the production? All these other guys come and talk about their theories. You know what they don't have? PowerPoints. You know what Public Gibbs gonna have?
PowerPoints.
That's right.
Fair enough. Well, I want to make one quick announcement. Everyone needs to drop tomatoes in the chat because just before I hit go live, Mr. Tom Carpenter sent the big hundo over on the Cash App for us to all have a good night. So he already bought your first half. So when I made the dono goal, I already calculated his half in. So now you only owe 10 to get to gauntlet mode. So tomatoes in the chat. Thank you, Mr. Tom Carpenter. We love you so much. He is fully sponsoring this Vegas trip. And remember, any dono you send tonight, be sure to hashtag Vegas because Mr. Tom Carpenter is matching up to the first 1K to sponsor our Vegas trip.
Yeah, I would like to add to that as well. By the way, the on the Vegas thing, guys, I don't think y'all understand. See, when I found out I was going to Vegas, first thing I did was like, you know what? I have a wide range audience of that people like different things. So I thought, hey, what can we do? The problem I'm having is deciding which all the different things that we're going to do on. Now, Sarah's already got things she's figured out that's going on for her. I've got some stuff. There's going to be so many different things happening in this like 3-day period, 4-day period. Y'all don't even want to watch because you're going to see some shit that's definitely outside the wheelhouse. Like we might be at an MMA gym. I might be at a wrestling gym. We might be at a day club. She might be doing an interview. You don't know what you're going to see. It's going to be wild stuff. I promise. I'm the one you want to go with to Vegas. If you're going to go somewhere, you just might die. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody's going to die except of excitement and fun. And so it's going to be good times, guys. Make sure you're watching everything. I wanted to add to that. I forgot earlier. But,
Oh, no, absolutely. I can actually say, I won't say where yet. That part will be a surprise. But I did work out I was asked to come join a radio talk show. So that will be in the works. So keep your eyes out for that. I'm super excited. We've got so much going on, Gibbs. We're busy people.
To the moon! To the moon. Yeah, just like Elon created more millionaires in America in one night than most people create in their lifetime. We're going to the moon of content creators. That's right.
I love it. All right. Are you ready to get to your content, sir?
I am ready. I'm very ready.
Do you want me to bring up your PowerPoint?
I do want you to bring up my PowerPoint.
Your precious Powerpoint, Gibbs. Your precious
PowerPoint. Figure out how to make it full screen. Here we go.
There's a little button in the bottom right. Okay. Good boy. Good boy.
That's not it either. Oh, is it?
Yeah, and you hit like space to go to the next page or the arrow key or something.
All right, well, let's see. All right, so guys, this is a modern return to Fortress America, a vision of American dominance by Justin Admiral Gibbs. Y'all didn't know my first name was Justin. Don't worry, it's not a dox. So guys, we're going to be going down. We have Trump over here. We're going to have to go through some definitions. We're going to talk about what was Fortress America in the past, what the Don Roe Doctrine is, what will a modern Fortress America look like, and imperial isolationism, all these important things. But first, so people aren't confused, because I know people here get confused a lot about definitions, and I don't want anybody saying just because the word socialism is in the word, it's socialism. We're going to be defining some definitions. All right, folks?
Defining some definitions.
The definition that we're defining, you like that, are going to be imperialism, colonialism, neo-imperialism, and isolationism. These are all important in context. All right. Imperialism as a state policy, practice, or advocacy of extending a nation's power and dominion over territories and peoples. This expansion is typically achieved through direct territorial acquisition, military force, or by gaining economic political control. And a great example of this is the Rome an empire right here. We got it. You see it. This is them at the peak. They kept expanding. They literally directly conquered it. We take it Imperial Rome. We take the term imperialism from this concept. All right. Key forms of imperialism, because there's always some different forms. Imperialism relies on various forms of control to assert dominance. Economic imperialism, when a powerful nation exerts financial control over a weaker one, often dominating trade, resources, and markets. Cultural imperialism, the imposition of a powerful nation's culture, language, or media onto overlapping smaller nation. We see this today. Good example of this, Hollywood. All right. Political imperialism, controlling the government, policies, and leadership of another region without necessarily occupying it directly. Imperialism versus colonialism. We also see this with sports in the cultural imperialism, where we go overseas. We see these teams that they're lost the Super Bowl, that they got to get rid of the Super Bowl winning champ shirts for the teams that didn't win. They'll give them over in Africa, and all of a sudden these people are now all Bills fan. If you like fucking pro football, you'll get that joke. It was amazing. All right, so colonialism. All right, let's talk about what that is, because that's a little bit different, but similar. The practice by which a nation or power extends and maintains political and economic cultural dominance over foreign territory and its people. It is primarily driven by the desire for resource extraction, wealth generation, and strategic geopolitical power, often resulting in the exploitation and subjugation of native populations. All right, great example. This is the UK, Britain. At one point, they control all these lands. Real cool saying. The sun never sets on the British Empire. They had companies like the East India Company that was basically a country in and of itself. Key characteristics: political and legal control, the colonizing power, the metropole poses its own laws, government, and administration, stripping them of their goods and their true self-rule. They basically exploit the shit out of them with the economics. We can see this where the Spanish do this. We see this with the British do this in India, all over the place. Cultural imposition, they enforce their stuff. We see the UK is another good example. The national dish in the UK, for example, as a joke, is tiki masala, which is clearly not British, but it apparently is. So crazy stuff. And then our hierarchy, basically you have the companies and the country in charge on top. They send settlers over to new areas. We see this in the New World, and exploitation. All right, these are the common columns. So here's one of my wonderful cartoons I made. See the difference really, basically, if you want to read the slide, guys, this basically is demonstrating that, imperialism, we come in, we just take them over, and then we just say, hey, we don't necessarily move there, but they basically become one with the country, and over about 100, 200 years, they assimilate because they're part of the country and all the laws are sent down. Versus colonialism, we send people there, and they conquer it, and then they try to exploit the resources and bring them back to the home area, etc., etc. Now, of neo-imperialism, all right? This is also synonymous with neocolonialism, is a modern form of domination where powerful developed nations exert control over less powerful developing countries instead of using military occupation, direct territorial conquest. This influence is maintained through indirect economic, political, and cultural mechanisms. All right, we got old George Washington or somebody over here, the ghost of George Washington, I guess. This is basically what we did post-World War II. It's kind of what we're known for. That age ended. We'll go into more of that later. And now we're in a new multipolarity kind of era. And so my argument is that neo-imperialism failed, but the United States is the key country that does all this. And I know this is kind of boring right here, but don't worry, the exciting stuff's coming after the definition. Yeah, don't worry. So this is the key things in the neo-imperialism. And I did this mainly for your audience, guys. I know that some of y'all in Sarah's audience struggle to read. So I put them on these slides. So not only can you not read a book, you can not read it on the screen, and I will just read them directly to y'all. So basically, core mechanisms of control or economic dependency. Weaker nations are kept dependent. We see this with NATO. We see this in Africa. Corporate influence. We see multinational corporations. Debt traps. We trick them in that way. Cultural dominance. We use the Hollywood. I mentioned that earlier. All sorts of good stuff. China's doing this with its roads and Silk Road Initiative and all the other bullshit they got going on. Russia does it a little more aggressively. And yada, yada, yada. So that's all it is. So a good example of isolationism here is a national foreign policy that advocates for country to abstain from international alliances, for economic commitments and global conflicts, prioritizing domestic advancement and self-reliance. Here's a real good example of this. The Tokugawa shogunate. All right. Remember Japan? They were isolationists till the Americans showed up with Admiral Perry. And they made a lot of cool stuff. But they basically got wiped once the gun was introduced. We see modern examples of this. This is North Korea's isolationist country. You call them the Hermit Kingdom. In fact, Korea is a good example of isolationism throughout its history. The only time they interact with anybody by their own will is when America, neo-imperialistic, made them to, or Japan did, or kind of did after they conquered them. The rest of the time, they're hiding out by themselves. One exception that people confuse oftentimes is neutrality or non-interventionism, which is more like Switzerland. Switzerland is essentially all like tied to the global framework of the market. So the banks, they play like mercenaries for all sorts of people, or they used to. They not so much anymore. I think they do for the Pope. But long story short, they're basically neutral, but they're tied into the global system. They desperately rely on the liberal world order to continue in their current state. So it is different than normal isolation. All right, what is Fortress America, boys? Here's another one fantastic political cartoon I made of the basically 1930s. 1930s Fortress America is isolationism in its sense. Basically, we see our good friends over here, Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin rising in the background, Japan's aggression, the European war, all these things. All right. So what happened in the 30s? I don't know if y'all remember what happened in the 30s. What happened in the 20s and 30s, Sarah? What was a big event?
We had the stock market crash.
That's right. We had the Great Depression, and it was terrible. And you know, guys, what did they do? They tried to raise tariffs. What was the reason for that? That was so that they could establish manufacturing here in America. Sound familiar? Sound like something we've heard recently? Yeah. Oh, Lord. Does that mean it's isolationism, Gibbs? No, it doesn't. And just because some things have similar characteristics doesn't mean they're the same thing. But we see that they try to fortify the borders. We try to create naval defenses. We saw all sorts of social policies under FDR. And what really got us out of that? Well, you know, World War II, okay? So the core tenets of the strategy, we wanted to be impregnable. We wanted to make sure that the European powers couldn't come over here. We were sick of what happened after World War I. We thought that was disgusting, and we didn't want to see it again. I guess they didn't. I wish they'd had a fortune teller because, man, it got worse. And so they all did all these things. They tried to make us independent, and we had the worst economy in history. Was it all because of our isolationism? No, but certainly didn't help. All right. So this goes on here. If you can, I'll leave it up for a second. But this is the basic idea of what 1930s Unfortunate America is. We had the war plan read. We basically wanted a hypothetical war with maybe Great Britain, who we ended up being allies with. And we just wanted to defend ourselves by taking over Canada. So the desire to take over Canada, I guess it's isolationist, but we'll see. It's not really in the long term. We poured our resources in the coastal strategic fortifications that we've never used. Two-nation ocean navy doctrine. We expanded the Pacific. That's important later when we get into World War II. The Great Depression, Neutrality Acts, and then America First movements. And this is where Trump coined America First. But like all good salesmen, you take something from the past that people might recognize from reading a social studies book once, and you make it your own. And that's what he's done. But we're going to keep going. We're going to get to that in a moment. The Monroe Doctrine. I don't know if y'all remember American history. I don't think y'all do, because we come on these panels every week, and I get told by our stuff that, like, oh, things mean different things than they actually do. And I know that people think they're constitutional experts because they read the one book of the Constitution, or they read the Declaration of Independence once, and then they can quote it from an app. But that doesn't make you an expert. What does make you an expert is studying. And this is something you should study. The Monroe Doctrine here basically set forth that we're going to be separate from the European powers. We're going to divide the world between the West and the East, right? We don't want them coming over here. We don't want to mess with the South Americans. They don't Central Americans, et cetera, right? However, and this was truly isolationist. We really wanted to stay away from them. We wanted to become basically independent on our own, self-sufficient, not be involved. Unfortunately, the Industrial Revolution happened, so this went out the window. And there's other things that have happened, like World War II. The colonial powers didn't stay out, and they got their ass whipped. Ask Spain how that worked out for them. All sorts of examples. The British, we gave them 2 whoopings twice. By the way, if you didn't know, we might play the British soccer team on July 4th. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah. So, yeah, basically, this was a cornerstone that led us into our doctrine of growing bigger. But really, when we started abandoning the Monroe Doctrine and moving to the larger stage, it helped us in the short term, but we had to abandon it to move to the long term. You see this with our expansion after the Civil War, our fights with Spain. Once we gained land outside of the United States, all over the Pacific, then our run-ins with Japan, et cetera, it kind of moves. So here's the 4 core principles: no colonization, no new colonization, a threat to U.S. to security. We are basically attack, hands off the existing colonies, and U.S. neutrality. So we didn't like that they kept trying to get involved throughout our time, and they discontinued, by the way, if all the way up to the Civil War. We have different countries taking different sides throughout the Civil War, on like with some sided with the South, some sided with the North, all sorts of stuff. So really, we were tired of this shit. And the Monroe Doctrine stems from before this, but we really kind of pushed it further after the Civil War, and when we started these other wars with other countries, and then it kind of morphed into the 20s and 30s after World War I. All right, so like I said, here's some more wonderful cartoons by old Papa Gibbs. This is the neo-imperialistic era, right? And this is the era that we have all grown up in. Excuse me. All right, so well, there's some exceptions to this, but I mean, other than maybe Sarah here, I don't think anybody else has grown up in World War II. I always say Sarah because she's a timeless vampire that steals the soul of the innocents or some shit. But yeah, we beat the Axis powers basically, and that ended the Fortress America era, the isolationist era, and World War II began, right? And so it ends in September 2nd, 1945. And then on March 12th, now we have some kind of like quasi-rebuilding period. But then March 12th, this is the generally accepted start of the Cold War. It's March 12th, 1947, December 26th, 1991. All right, and then what happens? Okay, they go, and we have all these proxy wars. We have we fight Vietnam, we fight Korea, but we don't actually stay. We rebuild Japan, South Korea. We fight in Vietnam. We go all over the world. We fight these little battles, etc., up until about 1991. Actually, December 27th, 1991, when George W. told them to tear down this wall, and then they tore it down, right? And so they carved out the world. These are all the presidents after. This is Bush Sr., Clinton, Bush Jr., and Obama. And that's the kind of the pinnacle of the neocon, neoliberal movement, right? Is under these guys. Now, some people like to argue Reagan, but they would be wrong. It is this time period, right, that they basically came into full power. They were never stronger than Bush and Cheney after the 9/11, when we started the war on terror. They started all these different things where we go in nation built, right? We went over there, we built nations, we enforced our will with our NATO allies, we did joint missions and all these things. And we basically ruled through proxy, and we only got involved or allegedly only got involved whenever we needed to, right? But in reality, I would argue that that's not the case. That was kind of a rose-colored glasses idea, but that's just the period that's generally agreed upon. Well, I'm saying we have now entered a new era, starting with Trump's first term. And I would call that the death of neo-imperialism and the rise of multipolarity. And we've seen, much like in 1984, if you remember, there's three great powers, and they're always fighting. It's like the East, the West, and then they have the European power, right? And they're basically these spheres of influence they fight. And that's kind of where we're at. China and Russia have kind of teamed up. They're like frenemies. They're not exactly friends, but they hate us more. And they've teamed up with countries like Iran, Cuba, Venezuela, a few other smaller countries. And they basically formed, first it was BRICS, and now it's SYNC. And, they formed this alternative to the liberal world order. And Trump said he's sick of it. He's basically destroyed that. And so that's why I'm calling it the death of neo-imperialism and the rise of multipolarity. That's got to happen continuously here until our newest era. So now we're going to introduce you to the main course of our topic.
Don Road Doctrine.
The Don Road Doctrine. Yeah.
Coin that, Gibbs.
Yeah, you like that?
Oh my God.
I wish I could take credit for that one, but that is actually a thing they're calling it. So it's not my. Yes, it is a legit political theory being coined by people smarter than me. So yeah, I wish I could steal that, but yeah, we have the Don Road Doctrine, which is a take on Fortress America and the Monroe Doctrine. That is what, as you'll see, a bit of a paradox, but he is walking the fine line perfectly, and he has destroyed the neo-imperialist movement, not neo-imperialist, basically the liberal world order with things like defunding the UN. We're seeing the struggle not to be able to pay their bills. He's having problems with NATO, et cetera, et cetera. He's making new deals, yada, yada, yada. We're going to get into that. So securing a golden future for the United States, the Don Road Doctrine. I'm wanting to take on Fortress America. Let's just talk about some domestic policy goals. And guys, I even figured out how to put videos into my what's it called? I don't even know what this is called, a PowerPoint. So you best be happy. No boomer here. But
that's
domestic
called embedding, Gibbs.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that we have someone here to teach you that. I don't know how to do PowerPoint, but you boys, I do know how to fucking talk political theory. All right, so let's talk about this, though. We got reinvigorate American industry and manufacturing, energy independence, military modernization, border enforcement, immigration reform, and make the U.S. self-sufficient. Let's talk about one of these things. Let's see what CNN has to say.
We're not getting volume.
Oh, well, that would be because you probably have to click the volume button on your side.
No. All right. When you hit share screen, did you click share audio too? Tell you what, remove your share screen and then start over. And when you do it, there's a little toggle button at the bottom. It says share audio too.
Okay. Share screen.
Boomer.
Okay. Now it says share audio too. Where's this?
It should be when you hit share screen. When you go to pick it, you should have like Chrome tab, window, entire screen. There should be a toggle button at the very bottom. It says also share tab audio. It should be right above the share button. Did you toggle it on?
No.
Okay.
Okay, let's try this again.
Hit the share screen.
Okay. I have slides, PDF, video file, image file, share screen. That's all.
Right. But at the very bottom of that prompt, it should say also share tab audio.
I don't see that. Well, you know what? We'll just we're gonna power through it. I don't need it to have audio that bad. It's okay. Let me just pull this up. Yeah, it's not. I don't see that option on here.
Really?
Yeah, the only options I have are. Yeah, I don't even have that as an option. I don't know why.
Well, it'll say the like Chrome window, this, that, whatever, but at the very bottom, before you hit the share button, it should say also share audio.
Nah,
at the very bottom.
It's okay. We'll just
power through it.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna play it and then we'll just talk while he talks in the background so you can see the cool little objects. All right, the numbers. Yeah, basically, long story short, tariffs up everywhere, right? Then, okay, further on, he talks about the tariffs. They're up 60% down on the migration, right? Net migration 60% down. Effective terror rate is up 2%. He said, basically, long story short, CNN, who hates Trump, says he's the most impactful person of the 21st century and possibly even further back, so probably up to the last 100 years, based off how he's controlled migration. There you go. Immigration reform, border enforcement. That goes to ties with that. And because of tariffs, because he's returning and enforcing domestic policy and making us do modernization in manufacturing. We talk about all these things all the time. The industrial military complex, building new factories. We're talking about increasing shipbuilding. I've talked about beef and all the different stuff and how he's done good things for that. The trade deals overseas, all sorts of stuff. See, these are all things we see him doing. Okay, let's go to foreign policy gears. Ensure the United States economic, political, military dominance. Reduce domestic or dependency on foreign goods. Ensure fair or favorable trade conditions for American businesses. Weaken BRICS/Think. Weaken international institutions that don't put America first. Test and force allies to carry their own weight and renegotiate partnerships when necessary. We can see this all throughout the recent dealings with Ukraine. We've basically, excuse me, basically, we're giving them our weaker tier stuff. We said, hey, if you want to fund this war with Ukraine, y'all need to carry a bigger load. We basically said, hey, we're going into Iran. Who's going with us? We tested them. It took Argentina sent 2 ships. The British couldn't even get them out of their harbor, right? So, like, we're seeing who was willing to do what. Like the ones that stood with us, hey, we're backing them. There's countries like Rwanda. They've taken over most of France's and the United States contracts in in Africa. We've got the trade deals with them. I don't really talk about it much further, but yes, we have a raw minerals deal with them. There's all sorts of stuff where we're trying to reduce dependency on foreign goods and ensure with the production here at home, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to get into some of these now. All right, so Trump route for international peace and prosperity. This is what people are calling a land route, basically, which is the land Panama. And this bypasses Iran. As you can see here, it goes above Iran completely, goes through Armenia, Azerbaijan. We formed a deal between these two countries with Trump. Trump basically got this peace deal. These countries hate each other, right? And now they're working together, and we have exclusive military rights to come protect this trade route. Our companies have exclusive rights to work on this stuff with them. We're basically ensuring our control of this route going forward. It also bypasses Russian influence, and if Turkey, who's basically a friend of me, they're like the lowest tier of our friend in NATO. They don't even get the F-35, or they might get it now, but it took forever if they did. But they're basically not our friend. But basically, this puts them more economically in line with us, so that's good as well. Et cetera, kind of thing. So this is one of the first things he's done, and this goes into a bigger overall strategy worldwide, as we're going to see. Panama, this was maybe one of the first things he did. As I had my guest on earlier this month, I had to talk about how Panama, and this is something I don't bring up as well in the slides, but as she talked about on there, one of the things that Venezuela was doing was hiding their drug money in Panama and basically was washing it. So that's an economic reason to go. These countries funded by the black markets. We know North Korea, which is part of this organization, this kind of triad of evil, this organization, this axis of power that's opposed to America. And when I say axis of evil, I don't mean they're literally evil. I'm sure the people there are very nice people. But guess what? Their governments are opposed to America being first, and they want their countries to be first. And I don't blame them. But guess what? They're not on our team. So I'm going to refer to them as the axis of evil for now. And so North Korea, one of these countries, has a giant industry based off illegal trade. Most of their industry comes from illegal trade, or did for a while. I think it's changed now that the Russian war has happened. But same thing thing with Venezuela. They were watching it in Panama. We also now control the Panama Canal. We got BlackRock to acquire, which even though I'm not a fan of BlackRock, at least they're our evil piece of shit, and they're not China's piece of shit. Right? Like, I'd rather our evil piece of shit own the stuff around the port and the canal, couldn't think of the word there, sorry, than China. So this is the reasons why. So this is good. So all these things, we took legal challenges. We're also maybe in a process, if things don't change the way we want, to retake it completely. Because guess what? We built the damn thing, and most of Panama's revenue comes from the canal. So we're basically just gifted them their reason to exist, which we're also going to get to maybe taking over Panama later in this brief as well, but we'll see that this is part of this global plan, and this is a thing that you can't call isolationist, because once again, this is the second trade route I mentioned that's on a world scale that it's going to control upwards of 40 to 50% of the trade through the world right here, right? Just between the trips route and Panama, right? I think this is like 98% of the trade for the United States goes through Panama. So, or some crazy number like that. So this is just a major port that we don't want China to get any control over. And we don't want our enemies in Venezuela, which borders them, to have any power there. And guess what? Now, we'll skip a thing to Venezuela. President Trump's goals in Venezuela. We had the oil access. They also, I don't think I listed this here, but they also have a massive amount of rare earth minerals, which we're going to need those going forward. We got the drug crackdowns, so blowing up boats in the Caribbean. He's using the legal precedent set by previous presidents to expand that. It controls migration. There's been massive amounts of refugees that fled this draconian regime in Venezuela, right? Like I literally had one on. I think there's something like 30 to 40 million people all throughout just South America, and that's not even counting the ones that went to Central North. We also, I speak about migration control. Massive amounts of people moving north is dangerous for diseases and pests. We're dealing with one now that's directly caused, as the CDC said, by them breaking the gap in Panama, which is the screw worm. This is a problem. Regime change. We're going to put a regime that's favorable to us and not to China and Russia. Or basically, we're going to put a puppet in there, or potentially annex them. And this is going to give us power going forward. And that screws China, because China was getting something like 50% of their oil from them. All right. Let me go back here to the Strait of Malacca. This is an important one here. The Strait of Malacca, as you see.
Are you? Hold on. Are you sharing? Are you? Because what I see on the screen is just your. Have you moved? Okay. Do you want to click your big button again to make it full screen?
Now, is it better?
Yes.
All right. Cool. All right. So we have the Strait of Malacca. This is maybe even the most important deal that nobody's talking about. The United States and Indonesia finalized the Major Defense Cooperation Partnership, the MDCP, to enhance the maritime security and and intelligence gathering around the vital Strait of Malacca. The deal extends joint training, sensor deployment, airspace access, land use military to monitor shipping lanes more effectively amid rising geopolitical competition with China. We already do. I didn't include the Strait of Taiwan because we already know that Taiwan, this is a hot point. We send ships there to police that all the time. But the Strait of Malacca is more important. Key components of the deal: airspace access. We're going to basically have unlimited access, maritime domain awareness. We're going to be sending ships through there. Operational cooperation. We're working with Indonesia to control this against piracy, because it's one of the most pirated corridors in the world. And here's the geopolitical implication, which is going to also maintain and help security and make oil prices more steady, as which I'm going to come to the Iran deal, which is another point of that as well. Geopolitical implications: countering China. The pact gives the United States a treaty for one of the world's most crucial national waterways, while providing Indonesia with a powerful partner, safeguard national defense capability. Regional dynamics. This goes a line. We're teaming up with either the countries that hate us, Vietnam, us, the Philippines. India is now selling weapons to the Philippines. This is all to encircle China. It's part of a greater plan. International law. We're enforcing our version of international law, which is might makes right, and we're using our proxies while we still have them to enforce this, like NATO, or we have a deal with a similar deal with the Pacific states. I'm forgetting on the name. And then the UN. We're sitting here giving our lip service to them for whatever they're worth to assist us. These are some other important things. The key trade net, the Strait of Malacca, is one of the most busy, vital shipping lanes. I'll leave this up here for a second, but this is 2016. All the oil is going through this strait for China. Something roughly 25 to 40% of all global trade goes through it. Energy transports estimate 3 million barrels of oil per day. 1/3 of the total maritime oil flows All right. 20% of seaborne gas, manufacturing goods go through it. China has 80% of their crude oil goes through this, right? Japan, which is our ally, but hey, I don't know if you remember, they surprised us once. So, allies might not always be our allies, right? But right now, little America over there, they get 40%. So it's basically ensuring that our ally, then and South Korea, which also gets stuff from there, is basically protected. And hey, global impact, because once again, we're controlling this route. Hold on, I'm sure my camera's about to do some crazy stuff. All right, we already talked about Venezuela. Greenland, same thing. Basically, Greenland's got it's like open. There's not any infrastructure there. There's only 66,000 people that live there or something like that. And so what we've done is we put a bunch of bases there. One, it's great. The sky is open, so no light pollution. It's good for Space Command, good for satellites. We're putting Space Command. We're expanding our military presence as well, our Navy and Air Force bases. Now, this map on the right is talking about climate change. Guys, I guess climate is a changing. They keep saying it is. Or check this out. Here in Texas, we just built this new cool thing called Icebreaker Shipyard. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but icebreakers go through and break the ice. And these are some new proposed lanes based off either climate change or due to our new tech that we've been able to build with shipping. And these are going to be proposed in Greenland and Canada, furthermore, are going to control all these lanes going forward. This is going to be new areas that bypass some of the old straits like the Strait of Malacca, etc. This is going to empower Russia, but also at the same time, this is going to empower us, Canada, and all the Arctic countries. And getting Greenland is in control of that is going to be key. Also, you'll see that Greenland's got a lot of put on here critical minerals. We're going to need these going forward for all our important stuff. And this, mind you, I know Greenland looks way bigger than it really is up here, but Greenland is a large piece of land, and it's basically become just a giant military base and giant fortress. It's going to be like an aircraft carrier covering the top that we don't have to move, and that's unsinkable. That's something we want going forward as these other countries advance technology-wise. Cuba and Canada. All right. Well, Trump said jokingly after Iran, we're going to come through. We're going to take over Cuba. Right. Well, speaking of Iran, what's going on there? I've talked many, many times this panel why Iran's key here is we're taking over the Strait of Hormuz. We've got the deal. He's agreed today that none of them 300 billion or whatever they keep talking about is going to come from the U.S. He's secured that no more nukes deal with them. These bomb machines, he's taken out their leadership. Basically, their new leadership's more amenable. And if they're not, we'll just bomb them again. So we got them by the nuts and we control the thing. We were sitting ships through the whole time. He just revealed that and now we're seeing now that they had no power in the canal, and he's just done wonderful stuff that nobody even thought possible. Dr. Steve Tully just put out a report about how their missile cities underneath didn't do jack shit. This is why they can't launch it. It's hard to launch missiles when the caves that you were going to hide them in have been blown shut. You might be safe in there, but you can't get out. So, whoopings all around for Iran. I wish they're basically the KD ratio is like a COD lobby or like somebody from a pro COD team going and playing a Fortnite team, right? Those kids, the Fortnite kids, they might be able to do some dances, but they're getting mowed down like, I don't know, the Somalian, like the Somalians over there due to all their ethnic rivals. Crazy. Just wild stuff, genocide, basically. Here it's going to continue, right? We're going to control these straits. We're going to control these shipping lanes, and Cuba is another extension of this, right? This controls the way into the Gulf. It stops another ally who's got a very good intelligence system. They have a lot of potential, but their communist governments ran into the ground. They're allied with our enemies, Russia. They actually had a deal with North Korea to repair all their old tech. I guess North Korea doesn't need it now, and now that we control the Panama Canal again, they're not able to get their stuff through, so that's hurt them. Iran and them have traded intelligence, all sorts of stuff. If Cuba goes, it's going to take away our big spot right off our shore that our enemies can use against us. So hemispheric security, it weakens the socialist left in South and Central America. See, these are all good things because the biggest pushers of liberal ideology in the Western Hemisphere has been Cuba for a while. Canada, well, we've been trying to annex Canada since we were founded as a country. This is just another thing. It's going to control those natural resources. Canada's got a ton of them. We're going to control these northern shipping, trade leverage. It's going to just give us more land and population and an educated population. So these are all good things that we want. I mean, first we'll probably start by taking Alberta since they're mostly conservative and they want to leave and join the U.S. anyway. And then we can expand to the rest because, we're America and they don't really have a choice. And yeah, that's how that works. So, as I said, this is the new manifest destiny. I like all right here on the right. Now, forgive me, I was not as good with the Grok art. It doesn't include Cuba in this, but like you do see the kind of, I guess, Brazil and Cuba swap. So I guess we can take over Brazil too. But the general goal is to take all the way down to Venezuela, and then maybe we stop there and we control this this quadrant of the hemisphere, right? This is ours. North America, Central America is completely under our control, and we control the gap, we control the resources, and we're poised not to isolate, but to expand further. And maybe we start with South America next. Maybe we annex Argentina. Maybe we, move in and convert Brazil. All these things have potential in the long run, right? There's other things we do. I've talked about that we get our military stranglehold. We control all the ports. You control all the ports. You control all the trades. You're going to have all the power militarily. Our military is in 75% of the world's country. People go, oh, what if these other countries think? Oh, Gibbs, can't you understand why these other countries might not like that? I got 2 words for them. Fuck them. I don't give 2 shits what these other countries think. I'm here for America and America first. We're in those countries, and you know what? We're blessing them. They're getting, every time an American steps off base, they get money. And most of these countries are poor. And guess what? The American dollar goes far. They get 10 American dollars. That might be a month's salary in some of these countries in Africa, right? Like these are benefits to them. We give them protection and stability for the most part. Now, there's countries, I agree, that we tear up. But it's kind of like, if we go back all the way over here to this other thing right here, carving up the world. Now, I bring this up, the peak of neo-imperialism under Bush, right? Because what happened? The Ba'ath Party started to rise. We started to see Iran, Libya, and Syria coming together to be this, maybe eventually a super country, right? Or one country on par in that region that would be more powerful than Saudi Arabia, maybe more powerful than Iran. They could eventually take out Iran, and they were creating a currency for all of Africa. This was a real threat, and it was controlled by the Ba'ath Party across 3 countries. Well, George W. Bush said, I don't fucking think so. And we took out Saddam Hussein. And now people are like, oh, but that created ISIS. We had to stay there so long. It was so bad. Right? Well, I'll tell you something. ISIS is way less bad than Saddam Hussein. And so ISIS is pretty much gone. And Syria is the weakest they've ever been. And I don't know if y'all know what happened to Gaddafi, but he ended up on meat hooks. So it looks like in hindsight, Bush and Clinton and Obama are completely vindicated. They destroyed the Ba'ath Party completely in that region. Yeah, we had to stay in Afghanistan for 20 years. But, honestly, the biggest problem with neo-imperialism is we don't keep what we kill. If we had stayed there 100 years, yeah, I know the American population might not have liked it. But eventually, they have had 3-4 generations of American culture. This is like I talked about with the imperialism from the Romans. One of the things the Romans did is they integrated their culture. Once they were conquering them, they would give the auxiliary a chance to take lands in other areas of the empire, and then they would expand Roman beliefs. They would have Roman soldiers that intermingle, and eventually they would become Roman over a period. This is something that we should have been doing as well. Split too far. Yeah, so where were we at? Strait of Malacca, Greenland, Cuba, Canada, Fortress America. All right, so we continue. This is, like I said, here's another illustration. Biggest shipping lanes, English Channel. Well, the English are our proxies. Basically, NATO's our bitches. That's why they're not going to do anything whenever we fucking take over. Listen, their response was so weak. And this is why I keep talking about why we need to reevaluate our allies. We said we're taking Greenland. What are you going to do about it? They sent 11 troops. Right, bro, 11 as bro, what is 11? They're going to just look as the B-52 rolls by. Like, we can literally, if we took out all the fraud, which is let's just say it's half of the projected $250 billion a year, in 4 years, we just took all that fraud. We could give $1 trillion to the people in Greenland. And I think I did the math, and it equals out to $8 million per person. And we could buy them off, 8 per million against the American citizenship, $8 million per person. It wouldn't devastate the American economy because it's not a big enough influx of cash at once. These people could get that. We can also break it up where they get values, stocks, or some other shit. But they'd get $8 million basically, and we could own it, and we could control this land with all these resources, and we could buy it. Or, like I said, we could just go take it. And what's Denmark going to do? Smoke some weed and do some heroin about it? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm not worried. And so I come back to my point. If you see all these areas on this map here, you can see that we now control number 8, Strait of Malacca. The tip of Africa is controlled by South Africa. They, whatever. They're not going to do nothing. They don't even have. Do they even have a navy? India, I guess they got a navy, but they're basically working with us. Australia is our biggest ally. They're even bigger than Israel if we really want to get down to it. We went into that a couple nights ago, but nobody wanted to hear that argument. Israel and the Mediterranean, we control all that area. I don't know if Israel's got a navy, but Israel controls part of that sea. Ukraine controls part of the other sea above it. We control these 2 other ports. right there, the Suez Canal. That's another reason we're not going to just let Israel fucking down, because Arabia and Israel right there next to the Suez Canal, and Egypt. Who knows what the fuck Egypt's doing? But like basically, that's one of the trade ports we're going to keep control of. And guess what? We're going to have to do it because Europe, like I said, they're crashing boats together, and the French had their one aircraft carrier get out. They had to go back to port because lordy, it breaks down. They make fun of the American aircraft carrier because we have the ocean of shit following it. But I got some news for you. At least the ocean of shit got us there, and it's got to get us back. The French can't even get theirs out of port. So, like, you know, and then I brought up Panama. Once again, we can see this is the thing. Now, one thing I want to point out, does this look like isolationist, or does this look a world strategy? Because I don't think one, I guess you could say the Panama Canal is America, but 1, 2, 3, I mean, all these locations, none of them are remotely in America, and that's not even talking about the Arctic routes, right? So we can talk about what is imperial isolationism. Well, that is the new thing Trump is giving you with the Don Roe doctrine. And I know that people are going to be real confused. And I know people are going to want to go, but you said it wasn't isolationism. Oh, Lord, you lied to me, Papa. And no, I didn't. Just because, once again, something got something in the name, don't mean it's the same thing. Imperial isolationism describes a paradoxical. Now, do I need to describe paradox there, or do you think we know what paradox means?
I get it.
It doesn't matter because we're not going to describe it. Geopolitical. I'm sorry, I couldn't wait to do that today.
I love you.
Yeah, geopolitical strategy, where a nation withdraws from traditional into international alliances, global governance. That's traditional isolationism, but continues to project power and force economic dominance and assert regional hegemony through unilateral action imperialism. Wow, does that sound familiar? Let's talk about some characteristics. And you tell me if this sounds like what we're doing right now. All right. Transactional diplomacy. Okay. Reduces multilateral trade treaties and international consensus with one-on-one negotiations, hard bargaining, and the threats of economic coercion. I don't know who that sounds like. It either sounds like the mob or a New York businessman. Oh, wait. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like Donald Trump. We're getting shit done. That's what we're doing right there. That defines exactly his policies internationally with tariffs, with trade deals, etc. Protectionism. Okay. What's that? Erects trade barriers and focuses on domestic industrial strengthening while simultaneously demanding access to foreign resources and territories. I will give you a great example of this. The beef industry. We made deals with the UK and with Europe to change their rules and regulations in regards to what they're going to accept for American beef, what the standards are, etc., while simultaneously trying to protect American beef. Now, he hasn't done a perfect job, as we've seen by the Argentina beef influx, but he's done a lot of these good jobs while he's cracked down on the border. He's built a new sterile fly thing to help attain screwworm. He's done a lot of things like deals with other countries, and he's really only going to his ally Argentina to supplement some of the beef. So these are like things that he's done. Protections, that's a good example. We can look at shipbuilding. We can look at steel. There's a lot of examples. Unilateral interventionism avoids nation building and long-term foreign conflicts, but utilizes rapid military force, dollar dominance, or territorial expansion to serve direct national. All right, now I don't know what annexing Cuba, annexing possibly Venezuela, annexing Canada or Alberta, and annexing Greenland sound like, but those sound like territorial expansion, right? Now, I get that we talked about Greenland and Canada under the 1930s version of this, but this is more so, right? Because we're talking about adding Cuba. We're talking about potentially adding Panama. We're talking about all the way, if we fully realize it, all the way through down to the Panamanian isthmus, where it's basically locked off, and maybe all the way through Venezuela. So we have a buffer zone as well as the economic beneficials. Also, let's talk about the unilateral intervention. All right, what did we do in Venezuela? We went in there overnight, took them out, and said, "Hey, now your leaders are on. Y'all either work with us with y'all's current system, become our bitches, get rid of China, or we're going to just come do this again and again." Same thing with Iran. Doesn't look like we're doing no nation building over there. Not under even the worst strategy talks that we've heard. The worst spin by the Democrats about how bad Trump's deal is. Not a single thing has talked about us going and building it. In fact, some of them have talked about how our companies are going to have rights to go over there and rebuild, which is going to be them paying our companies to rebuild the shit we blew up.
Ooh.
So based, yeah, I mean, awesome, fantastic. You know, we're seeing all these examples where we go in, he goes in and blows something up, leaves. He's talking about hitting Cuba quick and then putting their people about, et cetera, et cetera. We see unilateral interventionism where it's quick strikes, where he doesn't want a nation build, or he's going to just blow some shit up and then leave, right? And then this comes back to spheres of influence. And like I said earlier, the 1984 idea, where they talk about three major powers. This is kind of a power idea that comes back and back again, is basically you have a European, Indo-Europe, Russian kind of zone that's also going to contain Africa. You're also going to have, which are Africa's going to be fought over by all the major powers. You're also going to have maybe if Africa ever got it together, they could be a zone, so it could be 4. But you'll see a Western hemisphere that's dominated by America, where they keep out people and like play in South American sandbox. And eventually, hopefully, their goal would be to take it over or take over Central America, basically over the term of a couple hundred years. But it's basically they're going to take over their zone, and then China is going to have a Pacific region, and then we're going to control different areas, and then eventually you're going to expand and then go down. And the eventual idea would be that you're going to have one world order, but not this liberal idea of one world order controlled by a shadowy elite, but we're going to actually have an empire that controls it directly, or you're going to have, or it annexes them willingly, one or the other. That's kind of the idea in the long term. But in the short term, we're going to have 3 major superpowers or 3 multipolarity powers, and America being chief among them, because Daddy America is so far ahead of the rest that it's not even funny. So yeah, this is the imperial isolation, and none of this is key difference. The key difference is that we're only isolating to make ourselves self-sufficient, and while we're simultaneously being imperial and setting ourselves up. Think about like when you play Risk or Civilization or Strategy. There are periods where like you want to take over certain countries, right? If you want to be Australia, you have to control your trade route in and out of Australia. There's only one. If you're South America, you got to control Brazil. You got to control, I guess, where Venezuela's at, because their trade routes are in from Africa, and they're from like Central America, right? You control those, and then you exert outward, right? Same thing here. What we're doing is we've gained these areas, right? We control these areas, and we're control these spheres, and we're going to just push outward. So what we're going to do is consolidate first and make sure that we're self-sufficient. They can't get to us. They're relying on us, but we're not relying on them, while we simultaneously don't forget our origins. Guys, we're the world's arm dealers. We're the best at it. No one, our arms are the best. Y'all keep wanting us to be this happy-go-lucky group of people. We sell weapons. That's what we do. And when that doesn't work, we whoop their ass. And then we sell them the weapons. And then we sell the different groups the weapons to kill each other. And that's what we do. We need to stop pretending this liberal idea that everybody gets along. Because Russia and China have been playing by a different set of rules. And ever since Trump came in office the first time, we've seen them start doing things that basically, I think under Biden, they basically just ran with it because they thought the America was weak. And Trump went in there and destroyed these systems that have been in place. And this is already happening, the decline under Trump and under Biden towards this new era. So we're in a new era where Scott is multipolarity, but we are first among powers, right? And so we need to maintain that, because this idea that we're going to all get along is just never going to happen. So back to the spheres-based influence. And so we're going to have, like, I guess, some sort of Cold Wars, but instead of we might have proxy wars still, because all empires do. But this time we're going to be at the advantage, because we're going to directly control, or very closely directly control, all the trade routes in the oil. So they're tied to us. They have to come. China just agreed to buy American oil for the first time. So Trump is just dominating. And so, in conclusion, Trump has destroyed the liberal world order. Neo-imperialism has proven to have worked. I will say it worked for a period, but we're in a new era under new rules. Neo-imperialism is out, and the new Fortress America, new manifest destiny, the Don Rowe doctrine is in. And I think Vance and Rubio are going to continue that after he gets out. So, yeah, that is the basic gist of that.
Gibbs, I love it when you just let me sit there and look pretty.
Yes. I thought you would enjoy. You're like, yeah, I got to get ready. I'll be awake. I'm like, don't worry. You're not going to be doing much talking, I don't think.
I was the best 45 minutes, 50 minutes I've ever had in my life. And all I had to do was sit there and look pretty. Question, though. So this would be like, if I was Amazon, right? And I thought to myself.
Also, one note, I will have somebody show up here in like 5 minutes, and I'll have to just talk to them for a second, then I'll be back. But
well, then I don't get to just sit there and look pretty. Now I
have
to my people.
I gave you 45 minutes. You have to give me like 3 to like give someone some paper. But that's in a moment, so just
fine. And then by the time you get back, I'll have a full panel in overload.
Yeah.
So question. So this would be like Amazon. If I wanted to be Amazon and create an empire, basically, where I own the market and I like decide what the market price is because I own everything, right? I would want to go and instead of drop shipping from, let's say, like Whole Foods, I could say, you know what? I'm just going to buy Whole Foods, still drop ship it, but now all the money that Whole Foods makes, I make too, right? Like, and then I could go to all of the bookstores and buy up all the bookstores and make them mine as well. because instead of just being the third party vendor, like the middleman, I instead would just want to own the market. Does that?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the concept, right? Like that's the difference between what Trump wants to do here is he wants to make us completely self-sufficient, right? Like, so what I'm saying first, like there are like, listen, this is the people are like, this is racist. You blame migrants for the screw one. I'm like, well, listen, fam, I'm just blaming like general mass travel. Hold on a second. I have to answer my door. I'll be right back.
All right, go take care of your stuff. Here, I'll just remove you off screen for a minute. In the meantime, I will go ahead, since we are around the hour mark, I'll let everyone start hobbling backstage for open panel. Join open panel queue. Here. Sorry, sometimes I forget what the hell I'm typing. All right, the link has been dropped. Feel free to start shuffling backstage if you have something to say. Hi, Mom. Hey, Mom. I love you, Mom. I'm incredibly curious, kind of like, is this good? Is this bad? Do we want to do this? I mean, I know Gibbs personally is a huge fan of capitalism, right? The more money we can make, the more domination we have in a market, so on and so forth. That makes sense to me as well. I look at it, I like the way I can think of it this direction is like, yes, I'm a YouTuber, but if I want to own the market in terms of channels, and I think Pearl did this actually, where she began buying creators basically and saying, here, you're going to run this show here, and I'll take a certain percentage of whatever we do. I'll ensure to promote your channel, yada, yada, yada. But you are part of my network. So now I can control the airwaves in terms of who's going on when, what time, how long, what they talk about, the content. Oh, you back? Sorry, I didn't want to like have you.
Yeah, you're good.
Know.
Oh yeah, I just had to get this paperwork. It's late, but we closing deals at all hours of the day, baby. Woo! Actually, I'm so happy because that gave me way more money for Vegas for this shit.
Hell yeah. Are you buying me dinner then? Is that what that means?
You're buying me dinner for all the money I paid you. What are you talking? If anybody's buying anybody dinner, you're buying me food. Listen. I come on all these panels. I hear all about equal rights and feminism and a return to trad life. Listen, that's all well and good, but I see the light, and the light was someone getting $300 to drink 2 White Claws and then pass out. And that's the light, boys. And I tell you, I'm a little jealous, and you're going to use that to buy me a nice steak dinner. Is what's going to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Listen, men, know your worth. Know your worth,
ladies and gentlemen. I'm officially grifting on the Cash App or Buy Me a Coffee app in order to take Mr. Gibbs out for dinner, because he does provide us with lots of.
Y'all should give her $- now, so she has to make sure she goes into her bank account. No, I'm just going to give all the money. Don't worry. We'll go eat. Papa Gibbs talking about eating some food in Vegas. Don't you worry.
I love food.
Yeah, boys. Yeah.
Food
anyway.
amazing.
Yeah, where were we? Yeah, it's basically like controlling the supply. It's just like, hey, Connor, check this one out. Here's a correction from your stream, correction of mine. Was when we talked about HEB in my last video where we reviewed that debate I did. HEB does a wonderful thing, right? They create their own supply chains. Like, for example, if you want salmon, they have salmon farms and salmon fisheries in Alaska. If you want crab, they got the crab in Alaska. If you want Argentinian red shrimp, they have the farms in Argentina. They have all sorts of farms all over the United States, all over all these different things. Then they bought the shipping capacity. They bought shipping companies. They do all their own shipping and all their own logistics for the most part, right? They want beef. They buy from Texas ranchers and they buy from other. So they buy locally, and they've developed their own independent supply. That's what we're talking about with the Fortress America here. Is America is in a unique position, especially if you can control the all the way down to the Panama Canal. We basically are in a unique position where we can be completely self-sufficient. We have all our own energy reserves. We have all the natural rare earth minerals. We have natural borders that protect us, right? We have, guess what? On top of that, we got the tech. We got the Japanese working for us, little America. Maybe they get annexed too. I don't know. I'm okay with that. We got basically, we got, the tech, Silicon Valley here. We're leading. The trade. Taiwan, they need us to survive. Right, we got all these things. We're independent. They can't get dues anything. We forced now with Iran not able to get their oil out. We forced China to come to us. So all these other people, they're not independent. We're energy independent. We're resource independent. We're economically independent, and we're going to be food independent. We got the bread basket.
Would you want others to rely on us?
That's right.
We have the power play.
Yeah, and then this is the thing, is exposed to what people, I know my liberals are going to come in, but maybe non-fawn, I can feel it now. He's like, get it. I swear, this is not a non-fawn impression because he's not going to say it like that, but he's going to be like, Lord, get it. Don't you agree that when the GDP go down when you're in a transitionary period and you decrease trade overall when you tariff people? I'm about, yes, my son non-fawn, that's correct, brother. But we don't need them. They need us. We have got the best market in the world. They can sell their shit here at a higher premium and make money. And guess what? This is the privilege. They're finding out just right now, thanks to the World Cup, how great America is. They're discovering things like Chili's apps. You know what? I got to be honest. I don't know the last time I had Chili's. Right. But the fact that they're going crazy over Hidden Valley Ranch, which is, let's be honest, dog shit for ranch companies. But I guess it's tier 1 for them because they never experienced it. And Chili's, this is just showing them the consumerism, the power. They're just finding out how big America is. We're a massive country. They're figuring out, in Texas, damn, guns are pretty cool. The Germans are finding out, man, it's nice to have that here because they're in the South mainly right now. The Germans find out, man, this is what it's like to have national pride and not commit genocides regularly. Well, I guess we do anyway. But I'm just saying, you can have national pride. I literally watched this guy from Germany say, hey, could you imagine if they had my grandfather's regiment on the wall? I'm like, nah, that sucks because he was a Nazi. But guess who's not? We have patriots on our walls. We can take pride in American heritage. They're finding all these things out. Guess what? I have a friend, Modi. I talk about him all the time. Modi hates the UK. There's no pride over there. It's lame. And every time he comes here, he's like, man, I've never heard anything like Toby Keith before singing, I'm proud to be American. We're going to put a boot in your ass. Like, this is, man, they don't understand when people say the European mind can't comprehend. This is right. Did you know that people talk about gun violence? Here's a stat. More people die from not having air conditioning in Europe than people die from fucking gun violence in America.
Seriously?
Right? Yes. And if you take out the top 8 cities, which are all Democrat ran by gun crime, by the way, crazy how that works. And you take that top 8 out, guess what? We dropped 139th on the gun crime list. So it's pretty crazy that we can identify certain areas as the problem, and it's not really good, right? So a lot of these talk points, they're finding out all sorts of stuff. I've watched my friends here to come from Europe for this trade. I met how long we took about the ranch. They went shooting. They had never seen anything like this. We took a lot of shooting a water-cooled machine gun from like 1914. They're like, wow, this is crazy. This is from 1914. I'm like, yeah, y'all's great granddaddies are going over the trenches. We're shooting this. They're like, oh man, that's cool. I was like, y'all want to go shoot an artillery shell next? Like, and they're like, what? Okay, so they get to see crazy stuff they've never experienced. And this is America. We're the best. We're so far ahead. Iran found out about it. They fucked around. We bombed the shit out of them. We just every time they pop outside, it's like whack-a-mole. They don't know what to do, right? The Houthis, guess what? We dropped the most amount of bombs on them that we've been dropped since World War II. We just sent the fucking B-52s in, and they could have, oh man, we lost one B-52 recently. Spirit Aguilan. I feel for those guys. But that's because we have so many and we've had them for so long. Some of their grandfathers have worked on the same planes as the people that are piloting them now. We literally have pilots that fly B-52s that were flying when they ran. Now, people go, well, Gibbs, that's a sign that America's in decline. We're going to use old shit. No, that's a sign of American excellence that we've been able to revamp these bombers for damn near 100 years, and they're still flying and being top-tier weapons of destruction. We are the best. We can take our old shit that's better than their new shit. We're seeing this all over. This is the pinnacle, and we're only climbing. We're entering a new golden era on Trump, and I'm excited to see it. Aren't you, Sarah?
I am. No, I am. I'm a big fan of kicking ass, taking names, and getting paid to do it. Number 1, JD got his new membership. Shout out to you, JD. I believe JD sent the big red the other day, if I recall. But shout out to you, Evan Lord, the big 5. Evan Lord, where the fuck have you been, sir? I'm so glad you're here. I demand you get your ass on panel. It's been too long since we've seen you. And of course, Calvin says, "Can he talk a tad slower, please?" I've learned to. It's like having a friend with a overseas accent. You just eventually figure it out.
Yeah.
But also, Tom Carpenter sent in $50, and he says, "Take him to dinner. 40 for yours, 10 for his."
That's right.
I think I can buy you a glass of water in Vegas.
That's good. That's good because it won't be a shot for $10. I'll tell you that.
Crowd says, "Gibbs, my bandwidth is lagging. Slow down."
Yeah, see, the problem is, guys, if I had slowed down, and like I understand we all come from the slow down. I do. And I could be an auctioneer. I got the talent. But the problem is, if I slow down, I didn't even read everything I posted. I let some of y'all read it. I wanted to actually read through every single one just to make fun of y'all because I think a lot of y'all have never read a book ever. But I love y'all, chat. But I wanted to read it. But then I was like, this is taking a long time. So I sped read a bunch of them, and y'all are still like it's too fast. So what y'all would have said if I'd slowed down and read everything would be like, "Dear God, Gibbs, this is boring. This is really long. Our attention spans TikTok. We do 5-minute gauntlet debates. We're not ready for these long."
When do you ever slow down when you talk?
Don't worry about it. I don't think you ready for that information.
Well, that wasn't even an option on the table for any of my viewers. At all. Yeah. Exactly. I love you for it, though. I love you. Are you ready to meet your panel?
I'm ready to whoop that ass.
Oh, all right. Here we go. All right, and Kraut's already talking shit from the chat, but I love it because he sends in another 10 towards the dono goal. So I believe you only owe 3 more to get to the full-on gauntlet mode because Tom sent that other 50. So he sent the first 100. He sent another 50. Now you guys can carry the water for Tom, so Tom can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, so you guys need 3 more for full gauntlet mode. But Kraut says, "I actually read about 15 books in my life. Fever Dream is my favorite book of all time." I know people that read 15 books in over the summer.
Well, I probably read 15 books this week, but that's neither here nor there.
Sarah, you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, I'm actually using my PlayStation app. I didn't misspell that. It's actually spelled like that, the book itself. It's from George R.R. Martin. It's literally I probably read more than 15 books, but I can only on the top of my head name the 15 books that I actually read. So I only stated 15. Read that book. I suggest anybody to read that book. Right now, I'm actually reading the Dune book.
And Balderson points out a good thing here. He says, #Vegas all of your donos because Mr. Tom Carpenter is matching all the way up until we leave. So keep them coming in. I'll probably do Sleepy Tomato tomorrow night, and I'm thinking full open panel crazy gauntlet mode Friday night for shits and giggles is one final hurrah. But you have to #, all right, so we can get that full 1K match. And of course, Frosty says $10 American. Gibbs, how much do you think the war on the West will succeed and the implications that regular people will ally themselves alongside?
Well, I think that's really, really a key important thing, guys. And this I cannot reiterate enough. There's some people here that are going to tell you to vote third party or don't vote for lesser two evils. I'm telling you right now, boys, this is a do or die time. If you're like independent or Republican and you're thinking about voting Republican, you get your ass out there at midterms and you vote even if you don't like it. Like, I mean, now you don't got to vote straight party. You know, if I was a Democrat, I would probably not vote for Graham Plattner if I voted the rest of the ticket, right? If I was in that state. But if you can stomach them, I can understand here in Texas, maybe not wanting to vote for Paxton. But Torrico is even worse. The thing is, guys, if we win these midterms or we break even, this is a crucial time in American history. We can actually win going forward and stop the war against the West, because a poll came out, I think yesterday, 24% of the Democrats like America. It was 66% saying they hate America versus 74 to 80% of Republicans said they love America. And and then like something like 10 to like 8% saying they hate America, right? Some crazy number. So guys, if we really want to see and change America for the best, make sure we come out for midterms and you vote Republican.
Okay, fair enough. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off. And you were first backstage. What are your thoughts towards Gibbs and Fortress America? Dun, dun, dun.
So you're talking about expanding the United States all throughout North and even into South America.
Potentially.
Yeah. Right. So
that's the long-term goal.
How long do you see this taking, and what do you think that's going to happen culturally within the country, considering you're blending all of these cultures as you go? And
this is really the good news is right now is we're in the early nebulous stages, right? So a couple things. First, this is a key one, right? Latin American immigration has been dramatically different to America than the current situation in Europe, right? There's a similar culture. We have similar backgrounds. Like Texas is basically got the same background as 90% of Central and South America, right? So does Florida. So these are cultures we already know have blended with America generally. We also know most of these people want to come here and work, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think it's going to take quite the cultural shift that a lot of people think they do. There's also large like colonies of people in these countries that are like from like Spain. There's Germans. There's former Americans from like the 1860s. Well, some of them maybe not like them were former Confederates, but even then they still keep American values or similar ones. There's a whole bunch of other groups of people down there that are keep similar to American values that are like, well, basically integrate seamlessly. The other thing is I see this taking a long time, right? Just for this portion, I don't have any idea, any illusions that it'll happen in my lifetime, but I could see some of the steps being taken, like in our lifetime. Like we've already seen the controls of the corridors. I think I'm sort of seeing potentially him trying to get Greenland. I can see us taking Cuba. I could see us maybe like starting the process with Venezuela. Panama basically could get annexed at any time. Mexico, maybe not so much. It'd be a little more complicated. Canada, we can start with Alberta. I think the process is going to vary for each area. Alberta would probably come in as a conservative state, right? They would just come in as their own state, right? And then after they left, Canada would be bankrupt. We'd probably see the French Quebec want to leave. We annex the failing part of Canada. And then French Quebec maybe tries to go back to France or something. And then maybe over time we annex them. But eventually Cuba, same thing. I see this as an incremental process. I see the first steps being these countries I've listed, these areas I've listed. And then, I think like we're going to take steps to start leading towards that. Now, also, I don't have like the exact idea of what that's going to look like for each country. Like for Venezuela, we can do something like a special economic zone where like after like 2 generations, maybe they're citizens, or maybe the next generation after this date is citizens, or like, you have like 40 years where they like work a certain thing where they get special rights as Americans, but they're not immigrants. And there's all sorts of ways we can play with. We've done this throughout history with other countries. Maybe they're just like a petitioning part. Maybe we get Puerto Rico in as a state first to practice. That might be a good idea. I don't know. What else is there? There's another country I'm thinking is the Philippines. They broke away, got their independence, but they're basically needing our help again to stay independent from China. Maybe we re-annex them after their little dictator or Putin wannabe guy dies. But there's all sorts of scenarios where we expand, and I think that's the key part of this is under isolationism you can only expand so much, and like that was basically Canada, maybe Greenland, right? And now we're talking about taking all sorts of places and controlling the world trade corridors in perpetuity. That's like that in and of itself eliminates the idea that we're isolationist in nature.
Thank you, Gibbs.
Thank you, Ant. Doc, you're going to be on your best behavior tonight, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So, Gibbs, I want to hear your response. I don't think Fortress America ever existed. And I would point to a couple things. So first, I would point to after World War II, most in the audience would agree World War II, really dark time in history. It was also maybe one of the most shining or brightest moments of America. But how did we end that, right? It was called the Bretton Woods era, right? This is Bretton Woods era diplomacy, completely based on peaceable trade, right? Peaceable trade. So no fortress America. And this leads into American values. It leads to a period of global democratization. And then secondly, I would just say, what I think is disgusting is, I would say it's your reference to history and culture. If we actually go back to the 1830s, 1840s, 1850s, you start seeing many writings that are still recognized as positive, as being empirical, that describe the United States, such as Democracy in America by Alexis de Tocqueville. And this is all also stating that the national character of the U.S. is based in free market capitalism and peaceable trade once again. And so, saying that the United States isn't going to trade. I know these panels can be fun to discuss, but it sounded like you believed a lot of the stuff you said. So I just want to, I guess we would say in Bloodsport, I'm checking on you, buddy.
Sure. I mean, maybe you missed, but I would agree. Fortress America didn't exist after the 30s. If there was after World War I, pre 1941 thing that we had.
So 1985. So like 1984 isn't evidence, or like what I mentioned, the Bretton Woods era.
That all falls in the neo-imperialistic era.
Neo-imperialistic era. Okay, cool.
Yeah. But
that's new. I'd have to learn about that. I haven't learned about it. That's new information.
Yeah, so I would say from the Great Depression to us, not even the before, like when the other countries were World War I, but us then up to Pearl Harbor is the day that I would say we left Fortress America. We were drug in and we officially committed to not being in the Fortress America. And then I would say World War II is the start of the neo-imperialist era for us. And then that ends kind of like things like that ends basically with Trump's first term. But you have several different sections. I've had the slide. If you want me to pull it up again, it is right here. So just to illustrate what I'm talking about real quick, I broke this down. I mean, you could break it down even further, like if you really want to get into this. But I did this just for is this? Yeah, here we go.
Gibbs, Gibbs, real quick, it is just weird because you could, most people, if you have a passport, and I want to see the slide, but if you have a passport, for example, and you're living in 1960. You could travel to many places in the world that look like trade-oriented democracies. So I'm curious to see what this neo-imperialistic I see it on there, Gibbs. So walk us through this. I'd appreciate your take.
World War II is the end of the old powers, right? You see, like the UK is finally kind of like done, right? The Americas leaving Fortress America, which was I will agree, original Fortress America was isolationist. Fortress America now is more of like a step on like a plan to like ultimate imperialism, right? Which is, so we're imperialist isolationist, right? But imperial isolationism, so it's more like consolidating than it is pulling away. So we start with World War II, right? This is when I said that era.
Yeah, ends. Wait, Gibbs. What's the information source real quick before you go forward of this?
History?
Yeah, the information source of this, the slides you're showing.
I mean, it's like 50, 60 different sources. I mean, I think you want a glossary. I mean, like I have like for the whole thing, but like, I feel like we can agree that World War II started December 7th for America. It started 1939 for the other countries, right? And then it ended September 2nd, 1945, when we finished off Japan. They signed the deal, right? I think we can agree with that, right? So the Cold War is generally decided for most historical things I've seen to go from March 12th, 1947. To December 26, 1991. Y'all can fact check these. Like, if y'all want to fudge the dates a little bit, like not a huge whatever. Now, this one, I think the peak of neo-imperialism is going to be the one that's the most controversial because some people are going to argue the Reagan era is the peak. I would argue, personally, based off that the Bush, the Clinton Bush W years are the peak with the the Patriot Act and the war on terror and our expansion into other countries. I would argue that's the peak. And then Obama continued it successfully, but he didn't really expand it. That would be my argument. And then that ends when Trump is elected on the 20th and takes office on the 21st. And then we see Trump kind of start this dismantling of the neoliberal, neocon, conservative, the neocon, neoliberal world order with like taking out the UN. He tried to take out the people in the United States that were like not his people. You see the shakeups. You know, he kept some of them like bolting around, but then they kicked out. And then you see the rise of Russia and China during Trump 1 and Biden. I mean, you've seen them rise during the whole time after the Cold War. Russia like died off for a while. They came back and China took advantage. And so you see this like kind of like spheres of influence. And so like the last two, I would say, are like my creation, but based off quite a bit of history. And you could probably find other people that would have, like political scientists that would agree. And then this is a new thing that I'm presenting here is the death of neo-imperialism and the rise of like the new Fortress America, Trumpian Don Roe doctrine, which I think is other people are presenting, but I'm really trying to take a step further and talk about one of the steps on the way to the ultimate Don Roe doctrine, which is Fortress America. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the reply that I'd offer still is I think it's a cool story. It sounds like a Man from Hightower type deal. And yeah, I don't mean to be boring or a stickler, but I would say the presence of large multinationals, the fact that, you know, that's one tangible or concrete piece of evidence. You know, the fact that you can look at many different economic cartels, if you want to call them, or trade alliances, trade agreements, ranging
that all falls under neo-imperialism. Like NATO, the UN. These are products of neo-imperialism. Like we set this world order up, and like basically it's supposed to run with our influence. We are the liberal world order is running this, and that would be the neo-imperialism. It's like we're running it through systems instead of us directly controlling it.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but you do see though that I would assume you're not dogmatic or ideological enough to allow the presence of superseding international organizations such as the UN or a regional group that formed in the 1990s. I'd mention such as the European Union invalidates that again you could go shake hands with people in many countries, including the United States.
That's my point. Is the peak of neo-imperialism, right? So the Cold War is the Cold War is this idea, right? We have two world powers, right, and that ends, and then we have like this kind of like morphine period where the United States ends, and you bring up the EU, which started what happened in the 90s, right? Or like okay, or there is that. So like EU starts trying to consolidate, but they're relying on NATO to
EU. I did bring up the EU.
But what does the EU rely on to protect them militarily, right? NATO, right? So that's still system.
Well, it's also but it's no. So it's also you could say that there's two nuclear states as founding members of the EU if you're talking about military power. But you could also say it's global order, right? Why would we have this European Union conversation after the Cold War in the 1990s if it wasn't the case that that even in a relative sense. A place like the continent of Asia, where there's many different cultures, many forms of government, was existing in harmony, was trading globally as well. And so, you know, I don't know when you say neo-imperialism era
that falls
as a fortress. Yeah, but you're not escaping
all that is
your original structure though. But respond to the structure though. The logic. What
I argue is under neo-imperialism. The EU is a product of neo-imperialism, right? The EU, they basically outsource their weaponry and the production and their military. Excuse me. To the United States, right? So we provide most of it, and then NATO is basically our proxy people, right? We do the same thing in the Pacific, right? Same that we have like Japan and South Korea. We basically agreed y'all are gonna get the production of the United States, and y'all produce shit for us, right? And so y'all can like take that like load.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means to say that because I don't know what that means to say we produce shit and shit and shit, right? You're not Andrew Wilson. What the fuck are you talking about, kids?
We could go. I mean, if you want specifics, I would talk about like tech. I would talk about like technology. We have Taiwan doing the chips. We have South Korea does all sorts of computers. Samsung has tons of industries here in the United States. Basically, they've tied their economies to us and allowed us to offshoot the protection to the United States, and they buy American weapons. They have joint military intelligence programs with America. They have joint programs where they develop tech. They're basically like our proxy states, right? And so things like the EU is by design neo-imperialistic, right? So we want the EU to exist because they can run their economies under one thing and be one block and be organized, and then they outsource their protection to NATO, which is American-led and American-run, and they provide a certain like basically if a tax or a tariff, or they would provide a tithe, basically, right? So their 3%, I think was what it was. They had to be at 3% for their total GDP spent on defense for most of them. Most of them weren't meeting that. That would go towards NATO so that we can offshoot some of our costs and they can slightly protect themselves, but we've shovel most of the burden, right? And so you would see that that's part of the neo-imperialistic thing. The UN,
there's no logic, but you do see there's no logic. There's no and sorry, I'll wrap it up and give it back to you and Gibbs. But you do see there's no logic connected to a fortress there. That what you're calling a proxy state is still in shit, right? It's still in shit. It's still like one of these ortho bro styles dipshit arguments. Nobody believes you.
So the neo-imperialism was not a fortress America. That was the opposite, right? I'm saying we're stopping that. And we're going to this. This is the transfer, right? I agree. All during that period, after from this.
What is the transfer? What is the transfer, Gibbs? What is a transfer?
I did you not watch the show? I literally showed all the different economic things and taking over the straits and increasing our military. We're doing direct intervention, but it's short, not nation building. We do have I went through a whole 45.
That doesn't answer what I asked about. What one word means? I don't understand what a transfer. What do you mean by a transfer?
You don't know what a transitionary period is? It's like a transfer from neo.
So you're talking about a period of time. So you're talking about so you're talking about.
Let's maneuver to the next person, and maybe we can kind of get a new ideal built into that. And then Duck, we'll definitely come back to this. Mad Mapper, I do see your $10 mute. I will actually apply this when we go into gauntlet mode. During Q&A, we don't apply boots. So I will hold this. And when we move into gauntlet mode, Duck will be put backstage for 10 minutes. Kraut, your question, please, sir.
Hey, what's up, Sarah? Boulder, Spin. Again, if I start cutting up, just let me know, and I'll use my my mic that I actually purchased with the laptop. But I like my PlayStation 1 a lot better. So I'll just say off the bat. All right, cool. I'll just say off the bat, I'm not even familiar with Fortress America. So when I saw the debate prompt earlier, I actually looked it up. And I'm not a hard stance because I just looked it up today. But all in all, I agree with it. However, I don't agree with everything Gibbs is saying, at least what I think he is saying. So if you just want to try to dumb it down for us less educated conservatives. What
is your? Yeah, I mean it's simple. All right, here's the layman's term is: we conquer all the shit around us that cuts off the other countries getting to us. All right, we control all the main straits worldwide, so that all the economies are tied to America's, and America gets to say who does what with the petrodollar, right? All the oil goes through all the straits that we control, and then we're going to control all the straits that are going to open up in the Arctic as well, right? Okay, those are the two. And then 3 is we're going to be self-sufficient, right? So we're basically going to have all the stuff here in North and Central America that we have all our food productions here. We don't need to buy food from other countries except for luxury goods. We don't need to produce anything outside. We don't need to go to China except for maybe that bullshit. We have all the shipbuilding and everything here. All the manufacturing, whether that's beef, whether that's farming, whether all that's going to be here, whether it's military, everything here. And we're no longer needing it. And then we're going to expand our economic influence that once we've consolidated and protected ourselves, we're going to sell all of our shit and we're going to give exclusive rights to America. But things like immigration, we'll see the $5 million plan, the golden plan like Trump did, where we steal the best of the immigrants, right? Who want to come here and build businesses and have a lot of money to invest in America. And they do that right off the bat with the thing, with the 5 million thing. And then we also use things like we brain drain them with we take them from other countries, and then we redo H-1B visas, which we're already seeing them do. All these things. This is a fortress America, but it's imperialist in nature because we are using our power economically, politically, and militarily to intervene in other countries in order to benefit us both, whether those countries like it or not, because we're ensuring our success long term.
Okay, yeah. I'll probably agree with you maybe about 70%. My hard press is, well, one of the reasons why I never really liked international trade is it kind of I looked it up on my phone. Just give me 1 second. I actually have the page. I just got to type in my password. I actually read about American deficit and surpluses like when I was like fucking 20. When we buy overseas products, it creates a huge deficit because we buy more overseas than American products. So that's one of the reasons why I think we just need to cut out. I'm basically in agreement with you. And so
that's the goal.
My major disagreement, and again, stop me if I'm strawmanning you, it makes it seem like you kind of want to have a monopoly over everything over other countries.
Yeah, that's right. We're America. You exist because we say so.
Look, I'm for you, Gibbs. I think we agree on most shit, but I'm like the equivalent of how Malcolm X was pro-black. I'm pro-America, but that doesn't mean I want to see other countries get fucked over. I don't care what happens to them.
They don't have to get fucked over. They could just get on Team America, or they get fucked over.
I mean that's not necessarily true because there's laws in the United States to stop companies from having a monopoly. But you yourself just admitted.
Yeah, sure, but that's different.
Hold up, Skip.
Hold on. You
yourself just admitted you want a monopoly on America, right?
Right, yeah, but hold on. I want America to be the monopoly of the world, and with all these other like corporate monopolies under us, right? I like it because right now, listen, when I have this argument, I get where people come from. Where if I was an Iranian, I wouldn't want America bombing me either, right? Like, sure, I understand, and like, there's good to have a heart, and it's good to like want these other countries to be on a level playing field. But like, I got to break it to you guys. These countries, like, they're out for themselves. We're out for ourselves. This is dog eat dog world. China's going to take every advantage they can get to like get stronger. And like, listen, I think America's the best. I want everybody to be an American worldwide. I think that's the secret is we eventually conquer the world. Everybody gets to be an American. It's the best. But in the short term, right, when I'm sitting here seeing hear these people say, hey, I don't want to like be a monopoly in the world. I want us to be a monopoly, right? And in the sense that I want us to be the top tier guys and that we don't have to worry about what these other countries do because these other countries are always trying to be number one. It's lonely at the top. And if you want to stay at the top, you got to sometimes be doing a little bit of bad shit. And I'll be honest with you, we have debates on these panels every night about religion and morality and all these shit. And I got to tell you something, all morality, even Christian reality, Norse, all boils down to might makes right. Guess what? The gods are in charge. They're all powerful. They are the most mighty. They made the rules, and therefore your might makes right. Guess what? We live in the world. We don't see the gods, but we all see humans. And guess what? America right now is the most mighty. So we're making the rules, and I want to make sure the rules stay to where we're always on top. And I know people won't like that, but listen, if you either do that or you eventually go by the wayside.
All right. Well, I'll actually, no, I don't have anything more to say. I'll pass it off to the next one. Gibbs, like I said, I'm not hard pressed. You might be able to change my mind. Somebody else might be able to make me go the complete other way. But I'm for it mostly. I yield my time, Sarah.
Thank you, crowd. Excellent question. All right. Spin would like to pass on his turn per usual. Clay.
Yes.
Why are you not cammed up tonight? Are you naked?
I am sick.
Oh, you're sick? Oh,
yes.
No.
It's a rare thing for me. It was earlier today. I'm getting better, but I didn't want to miss. So, I'm just sitting at the computer. So,
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Your question to Gibbs. It's okay. Now go ahead.
Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Thank you, Gibbs. Thank you, Tomato, for... Hold on just a sec.
Oh, you hit the mute button, Clay.
Better get better, prick.
I apologize. I had to answer the door for a sec. Somebody's checking on me. Thank you, Gibbs. Thank you, Sarah, for being here. Thank you to the chat. And I apologize if I do this slowly. I do appreciate you coming up and telling us about your views on the Fortress America. And I actually don't really disagree with much of anything you said. We may disagree on which direction that may go, Gibbs, but ultimately, I see it. I'm kind of curious, though, the difference here between this and just essentially globalism, like the idea that, America rules the world. That to me just is is globalism, which I also don't have much of a problem with it in that view either. Is that fair? Fair to say? Oh, you're muted.
Say the last part again. You said say the globalism part again.
Yeah, so I don't have really that big of an issue from the stance of putting America at the top. And especially like obviously we're going to want the military at the top first and foremost, and then trade comes into that. Obviously, you obviously agree with that. So let's move on to the domestic. Now, I want to see where the people fit into this, right?
That's a good thought.
Yeah, because essentially, you've talked a lot about and been questioned a lot about. Okay, where do we see the other countries and what we want to do with them? These other territories. I love that. But if it is the case that we're moving towards that, at some point we should see taxes go down, because if we're taking and taking and taking, then eventually we should see that the American people are actually paying far, far less for essentially being on the top.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because Clay, you know what? We are absolutely seeing that. Florida getting rid of property tax, Texas getting rid of property tax. We're seeing other countries states follow suit. Some have gotten, Texas doesn't even have income tax, right? We're having other states. I think Florida might be following suit with that as well. There's several other states that have already had this in practice. So we're seeing states that are like buying into this, where we have states like Texas who are booming. Like, talk about populations declining in some states and the nation as a whole. You know what states are not having population declines? States like Florida, states like Texas, they're having people immigrate there, afford work. We're having industry being built. We just signed on to have an icebreaker shipyard built in, I think it's in Galveston. No, it might be Brownsville. Either one. It's being built on the coast, right? We have Corpus Christi is building a D-style plant. There's a right outside, I think Port Aransas, they're building a drone weapons plant, right? Like a USO plant, right? We're building all sorts of other stuff. Arizona is now building Shahad. They have a plant building the American Eagles. I think they're the Shahad version of the Shahad missiles. So we're seeing a return to manufacturing. Now, there is going to be a period where the people that are in the service industry or have these like liberal arts degree jobs are going to be hurt. But like, it's because we switched to a gig economy. Everybody has 3 jobs. But as the manufacturing is built, as like the other industries return to growth, we're going to have these people start getting these jobs, move in. Because listen, these are like skill jobs. They're not like jobs you need to have a degree for. I don't need to have a degree to go be a hand on a ranch. I don't need to be, I might need to go to school to be a welder, but that's a short period of school, right? Like, but these are trade school things. These are things people retool into, and a lot of programs are already out there. I'm not a libertarian. If the government wants to fund a program to get people into trade schools, to get people into these manufacturers, I'm okay with something like that, right? As long as it's monitored. I just don't want fraud. Same thing. Like there's all sorts of things. I'm okay with supplementary programs potentially going with my tax dollars to help people that are trying to get into these industries that are leaving these gig jobs or these like liberal arts degree jobs. Like, I want people to move into a better America. I don't want just Democrats to get left behind. This is not like a fuck you to like them. But I think a large portion of them are the ones who have these gig jobs and have these liberal arts degree jobs. So, there is going to be a period where some people are hurt, even Republicans, but it's going to, as we transition back to manufacturing and building the stuff at home, I think we're going to see a return, and the GDP might contract for a short period and then restart expanding again as these manufacturers rebuild. So that's the long-term goal.
It's the pain that comes before. No, I agree with that. And
yes, the pain now, the pain later. I mean, the current system
will be pain later too. Yeah,
I think the current system is untenable, right? Like, I think we're eventually going to have some sort of reckoning with the gig economy service industry.
Absolutely, yeah. Service isn't. It's not producing. It's just that simple. No, and it really, in my opinion, does depend on where we go with those outside influences. So, these ideas, they're good ideas. Now, I do have a curiosity on why exactly it was that you brought the Monroe Doctrine up. Now, really, from my understanding of that, that's just essentially a president stating his intent. What is his vision for the future? What are his policies? What is he going to do moving forward? But really, the constitutional power in a lot of these cases still lays with the Congress. So because of that, I want to know your take on the constitutionality of it, on whether the president essentially should just write an executive order. You know, I know we've had this conversation, but it's your time now. So why it is that the Constitution is king, and that the power that's vested in the Congress, in my opinion, maybe not in your opinion, ought be vested in them. And when I say that, what I mean is some of those things that perhaps in the past hasn't necessarily been respected. And there's other things than war that are congressional powers, right? So there are obviously treaties, we know about that, but then there are some economic things, the foreign aid, right, as well as the immigration itself. Those things actually lie vested in the Congress. So why it's important for the president to recognize his limitation by still trying to state his vision for the future. It's fine that the Monroe Doctrine is applied here. I like it. I like that you brought it up. But just still understanding, you know, the constitutionality, the separation of powers there.
I don't. Okay, maybe I don't understand the issue that you're having, because I know that you're trying to focus on the constitutionality of the executive, but like this is the problem. Always. So the Monroe Doctrine, right, is put forth by two presidents, right? It's put forth by John Quincy Adams and James Monroe, right?
Right.
All right. Okay. And Monroe is also the person. I don't know if you remember this, but he's the one who appointed stuff. And then whenever they had the midnight appointments, basically, and then we had it was Marbury versus it was Madison, right? And part of this just had to do with Monroe, right? Like all these things.
Yeah.
These people
all that shit happened.
All this happened. Yeah, all this happened, right? You remember those?
Jefferson,
Now, the Constitution states that the president is the commander in chief, right? He's in charge of the military, the armed forces, et cetera, right? You know, he's also in charge of executing the laws. And this is part of the reason why I said, hey, go sure you go vote at midterms so we get some change, right? I get what you're saying. However, I got to be honest with you. The Monroe Doctrine has been one of the most pivotal pieces of American foreign policy of all time. Like we followed that for nearly 160 years.
Yes,
right, like 100, right, and then we even still refer back to it, right, regularly, right,
Indeed.
as a defining principle. So whenever you say, yeah, the constitutionality, I mean, that's great and all, but like the Constitution is just a framework, and there's a reason why we have legal precedents and we have precedents set over time, and then we go back to these over and over again. And the Monroe Doctrine is one of those, right? Just like judicial review established by Thurgood Marshall, right, is a precedent that felt forward, set the powers of the judiciary, right? So we have these things that we use over and over and over and over again. And so when you're sitting here worried about like, hey, where these two clash, like this has been litigated in the Supreme Court many times.
Yes,
right. This is not something that's confusing. So the idea that we have any kind of issue.
Legal.
The idea that we have any issue with the Constitution, the Monroe Doctrine,
but it's not law, right? But it's not law, right? It's just a precedent. It's just something that happened, and now we.
It's just presidents. It's political
it's not
theory.
Law, right?
Yeah, it's just theory.
It's theory. It's understanding where the vision is.
Yeah, it's like if you come in our backyard, we fuck you up. Like we did.
Yeah. Which actually serves the purpose of Fortress America the way that you're talking about. It's exactly what you're talking about. It's the envisioning that you're explaining, which is exactly why you brought it up. I love
but the Monroe Doctrine is isolationism in and of itself. The Monroe Doctrine is not. He talking about going whooping that ass.
Right.
Yeah, that's a key part there.
No, that's perfect. I just wanted to make sure that people understood the difference between the Monroe Doctrine, because you did bring it up, and I love that you did, and why it is important versus whether it's legal or law. It is legal, 100%. It's like I said, it's a statement, and I love that a statement is there. I want to hear from these politicians, including the president, where he sees the country going. So this is very good. That's it. I'll leave it at that. And I'm gonna hang back. I appreciate it, Sarah. I'm gonna go lay down. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope you feel better, Clay. I really appreciate you coming on, even though you're not well.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We love you.
Better.
All right, and by the way, to the chat, you owe 10 more bones. Get 10 more bones so we can go into full gauntlet mode. Bad Gemini. What's up, Admiral Gibbs?
Oh, I also wanted to say in the chat, I see you. This guy complaining. There's pop up. Hey, this guy complaining about me talking, but I didn't know that being in the question and answer portion. I guess I could just not answer the questions.
Right.
You know,
you are the featured guest of the evening. The goal is for these people to come ask you questions. Bad Gemini, sir. I don't know what you're drinking, but it looks very tasty. Do you have a question or comment towards Mr. Gibbs on Fortress America?
When I have questions, that's normally when I'm dating, but when people talking reckless, I have statements. So when it comes to AG, he can't put Florida in his mouth and be inaccurate. First off, I'm in Florida. These property taxes, they're not going anywhere. Just because they talked about it, tried to push it forward, all that, they said no. So we got these property taxes. It's here to stay. You know, we got two years remaining. Governor's going to be out of there. If he couldn't get it done, it's not happening with a Republican governor. But, you know, so for that, it's not happening. That's inaccurate. Now, when you're talking about state taxes, I mean, come on, Florida, they're not just adopting, they've been adopting. You know why? Because we got great tourism. You know why we have a high population? Because we got people from the islands which are a hop, skip, jumping away. They're pulling up to Florida. You got Florida with beautiful beaches. You got Florida with no property taxes. You got freaking Disney World, which people seem to love from outside of Florida. You throw Busch Gardens in there. You throw a little bit of cattle, a little bit of citrus, and all these things in Florida is the perfect mix. So that's why you have all this action in Florida. But it's not a matter of us having to even worry about taxes. 2 weeks each year, they do a no tax holiday for parents and their kids. It's like, hey, you can buy these items, and camping equipment is part of it, first aid, newborn stuff, because it makes so much money off of tourism that they can afford to give you a tax break. So, you know, am I ego stroking Florida? Yeah, because we get all these Florida man stories, but you have a lot of snowbirds and all that like the frequent Florida. So if you're gonna talk about Florida, you got to do better than that, AG. With that spiel, I'm done. So now back to you and your questions. You had some legitimate standpoint, and look, I'm not knocking the Monroe Doctrine, but let's be honest, we understand what was more impactful than that. It was the darn Louisiana Purchase. And also, since we're talking about Florida, yes, thank you, because he did his job in making sure Florida was part of the 50 U.S. states. So that is also another overlap with James Monroe. So with that, look, as great as the doctrine was, anybody's going to huff and puff. That's like Muhammad Ali. If you ask him what he would do, right? That's what he did. Before Muhammad Ali was here, you had James Monroe like, hey, y'all come here talking crazy, we're going to slap you in your mouth. But let's be honest, it was the Louisiana Purchase. That's what set everything off. And because we have more territory, guess what? You have more territory to protect. So it actually overlapped. You gain more. And you can't let people think they can come and take it. So because you have more to protect, you're warning people like, look, don't come over here talking crazy, because he understood what America was going to look like in the future. Did I ask you a question? No. Did I make a statement? Yes, but you're still a great guy.
Thank you so much. I will say, though, Louisiana Purchase falls under Monroe Doctrine, though. It's the idea, because it's kick France out of the American area. We buy all their colonies here, which is basically all Louisiana Purchase, right? And then so that gets them out of our sphere, which falls in the Monroe Doctrine. And then it funds Napoleon to go stir shit up in Europe and keep Britain out of our area. And that was the goal, since we're about to go to war with it again 12 years later or 11 years later. I think we bought Louisiana in 1801.
And Haiti, too.
Yeah, and Haiti. Yeah, Haiti didn't work out.
But
we should conquer Haiti, too, and give them a better life, because they're struggling down there. Yeah. Haiti's nice, by the way, if you ever get a chance.
I got fed to all my zoes, no lie. You know, I had to drop a little Creole on you, but yeah, they did stir that up. But you're right, you know, it's the shoe and get away. But let's be honest, did we really need the Monroe Doctrine to do that, when us just rebelling against, you know, UK, Britain, all of that was the first signs, because everybody tried to come back and say, hold on, we can't let this be a demonstration for the whole world. Let's come over here. Let's have this Boston Tea Party. Let's do all this reckless behavior. And so really there was precedence prior to that. Now, was it put in writing? Yes, in terms of the Constitution, but was it more like vocal of like, look, these outsiders, like Constitution, right? Declaration, it's more U.S. centric. But so to your point,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Came to the outside. Yeah. So I get that. When you talk about U.S. centric, we had that documentation for days, right? That's the Union. But this was the first time a president said, we're not going to focus on U.S. centric. I think we're okay over here. We're building this thing. We're 250, right? 250 years this year. But it was like we're going past U.S. centric. So, I mean, that's a good standpoint because we all pro-America. But in being pro-America, you have to let everybody know you have to get back because some people are pro themselves with no protection and then they get slapped in the mouth and now you're pro nobody. So
that's right. Yeah, we're on the same side, I think.
Fair enough. Thank you, Bad Gemini. Calvin, to you, and then we'll get Vibe and Mr. Balderson. And then, again, if you want full gauntlet mode, you got to get 10 more bucks in the door. Just 10. Are you going to withhold everyone from this amazing gauntlet content for $10? Seriously? Come on. Somebody's got it. Cough it up, and it looks way better in my back pocket than yours. Calvin, to you, sir. I know you've got something good up your sleeve. Let's go. Oh, Calvin, your mic's not working or something, baby boo.
Maybe shit.
Yeah, it's your mic. I love you, Calvin. Try again. Vibe to you, sir.
How you doing, Sarah? How you doing, Gibbs? Good to see you guys. Gibbs, I have to apologize. I did bookmark you to watch the whole thing, but I didn't actually get over here, so I didn't get your whole spiel.
It's okay. Don't worry. This is PowerPoint. You better go back and watch the rest of it.
Send it to me. But I do have a question because based on this, before Trump ever came in, I was complaining to people left and right that one of the downfalls of America was when we opened up the tariffs to the whole world, basically supporting child labor in the 60s and 70s of China and getting all our goods. And we actually went up above our means of living and kind of screwed the United States and screwed the American worker. And when Trump came in and said he was going to do these tariffs, I was like, finally, somebody gets it, right? I was really happy about that. But my first thought, and this is kind of my question to you, you were talking to Duck about this transition period. He didn't seem to understand what that means. But I understand we're doing all these things, which I think are good. I'm also wondering, is it too late? And can we actually make it through the transition period? Because through enforcing these these tariffs and trying to bring the manufacturing back here, we're raising costs. We're already at the super high level of living, super high salaries. The reason you can go overseas and to third world countries and buy cheap food and labor or cheap food and products is because you're not paying for the rent and you're not paying for the employee. You're actually paying for the product versus the United States. We're paying for the employee and we're paying for the rent of the location that employee sits. We're not paying for the product. That means if we were to become this fortress, the citizens have to sacrifice a little bit to get us back to a stable situation. And I'm wondering if you actually think in this transition period, especially once the elections come back up, if this is a direction we can continue without basically people voting a Democrat back in to tear it all back down and go back to our old ways.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's part of it. That's why I said I think the midterms are so important. Yeah, I think I just sent you the slideshow, but I have the if you, like I said, if not, you can just go back and watch it again on Sarah's or my channels. Give us a free view. Give us some ad revenue. Yeah, I think it's key that they are gonna have to toughen out, right? I think they will toughen out. I don't want to sound like a dick, but I am gonna be a dick for a second, and then I'll come bring it back and be the nice salesman guy. But I'm a rancher, and for years I came on panels and I told people, hey, these are the problems we're having at the border. And the lefties told me, and this is a direct quote from at least 4 different panels. Fuck you, rich landowner. And I said, okay, I don't know if you know anything about ranching, but we're not making no fucking money. And we're supplying your food. And then they said, oh, well, how many acres you have? And I said, don't worry about it. And they said, see, this is just some rich plantation owner that is making money hand over fist. And I'm like, no, fam, I make money from my other businesses to put into my ranch to break even. Right? Yeah, it makes a decent amount of money, but it's not operating at any gate fucking, we're like, the margins are like this, right? And that's with beef prices skyrocketing to the moon, right? And even then, we're recovering. I'm able to increase my herd size. So this is the thing. I have been told my entire life, fuck you, by the Dems. And then on the right, I've had Republicans who've seemed so apathetic, it's criminal to my industry. Like, they have not gave a shit, like, for decades. And finally, Trump gets in here in 2016 and starts doing some stuff. And Abbott and some of the local governors got stuff. So, yeah, I think that Americans can go through a lot of things when they put their mind to it. We went through worse during the Depression. And like I said earlier, there's ways that we can get these people from these liberal arts degree jobs, from these like gig jobs, into these like programs where they do welding or they do trade schools or they do coding, or we can do all these different things where they go into production or manufacturing. We're just going to need bodies, because, yeah, AI manufacturing is great, but you need bodies starting out, and then you advance from there. And then you need people to work on those things. So, yeah, I think that we will be able to survive transit. Now, will there be some contraction or slow growth? Yeah, I think there will be. Will some people be hurt? Sure. But the trick is, look, Trump's doing a good job of this. I'm going to use beef again. Like, I've not been a huge fan of him bringing Argentina beef in. Right. However, I understand the logic is he slowed the recovery of the beef industry in America. However, we're still improving. And while at the same time bringing beef in to alleviate some of the cost for the average consumer. So we're slowly growing while the consumers are like having some relief. Right. And he's doing this across the way with multiple different industries. Right. Like he's allowed, the tapering of steel imports, like certain ways. We've allowed certain countries to deal with steel while we simultaneously encourage steel workers here. And we see this over and over and over again with different industries where he's pushing like shipbuilding, I mentioned several times. And I think that, I think there is going to be a period where they hurt. But I think that that's like something they're going to have to deal with. And I think that luckily his base and the independents are the ones that are going to be benefiting mostly. Right. Because they're the ones living in a swath of life. People like in the Rust Belt who want to return to factory jobs. People like me who live are farmers, right, are ranchers, right? Farmers taking it back now that the corn subsidies have gone. Right now that big Monsanto is bought by Bayer and they're failing. We're seeing these guys start in farms again. We're seeing people build farms at their house and just all sorts of different things. And we're seeing like a return to this agrarian manufacturing. And I don't want to go full agrarian. I want to have like industrial farming and ranching as opposed to that. But I think that this is like, we are seeing this already. And I don't think it's too late, as you were asking. But I think if we go too far down the line, we'll be like, I think we're actually uniquely positioned to take advantage of this, right? We have a leader that recognizes Russia and China is not playing by these rules. We have a leader that's going and disrupting these systems. And instead of having deals that like NATO that aren't necessarily benefiting us, we're making deals directly with like Poland. We're making direct deals with these other countries, right? We're doing things. I think that reassessing where our allies are, why would we be militarily allies with a country that can't even get 2 boats in the water? Like that doesn't make sense. We should just sell them weapons. Like, so he's reevaluating these things. And I think we're uniquely positioned right now because there's no superpower that's equal to us in any sense. To like take control, so we still have the power. We're still far ahead, and we could have enough power and whatever that we can take a hit in the short term to increase. Like I had a professor, and he always said this: it's either the pain now or the pain later. Right. And the same with Afghanistan, we couldn't stomach the pain now to sit here in 100 years. Right. But guess what? We probably can sit here and stomach through the pain now of like 5 years of transition into other industries. While some industries improve and other industries hurt, especially if it's industries that hurt Trump's opposition.
Yeah, and I would agree with you that we could survive the pain. My real question is can we maintain the momentum? So you basically got 2 years to convince all these people that the pain.
I think the momentum's going the opposite way. Don't you think so? Like we've lost all our manufacturing. Like now we're going to swing it back this way.
Right. But the thing is if people start feeling pain, the average American starts feeling pain, we're not the same group of people that we were during the Great Depression. Will this group still like when the vote comes up, and will they still vote for somebody that's going to continue? Because this transition.
Well, it depends if their industry is hurting them, right? We had what's his name came on here a couple weeks ago. He's like, I remember looking for jobs in Dubai and I couldn't find anything. I remember COVID. I was working my businesses, but I was picking up gig jobs because it was just everybody was hurting, right? I go do Amazon Prime Flex or something for like a day, be like, all right, this is my drinking money this weekend, right? And we all did shit like that. Now, like I don't have to do any gig jobs ever. Like I probably never will have to again. Well, people that couldn't find jobs have found jobs. We're seeing the job growth numbers actually increase, and then they don't have an 800,000 revision, which is basically they lied about jobs under Biden. We had 40,000. which is a reasonable number considering we're talking about millions of jobs created, concentration. So we're seeing like the real numbers. We're seeing the like lies and the Dems. It's a multi-party thing. The liberals had this world order, and then they also had the Dems here had all the collusion and the corruption and the USAID, and all of this is coming down at once. And we're really, I think we're, like I said, in a prime position. I think we'll be able to stomach it. I think his enemies will die off and wilt, and the people that are funding these people are going to not be able to keep funding it, or they're going to have to fund more strategically and get smaller, and that's going to allow us to expand. And this is why the midterms are so important, because if they get in there and they slow this stuff down, that's going to be a problem. But if we have at least the Senate and possibly a tie in the House, oh man, Lord, we could get some real change, and maybe have 16 years of Republican presidents and really get us back on track like the way we need, and win the culture war and win the worldwide dominance war.
All right, you guys heard it from Gibbs. Frickin' pay attention to who you're
Vote
voting
midterms.
for. Vote. Get your ass, and don't just vote not knowing what you're voting for. Frickin' read what's going to be on the ballot, and before you walk into that booth, know what you're voting for, and make sure we keep this going. You heard it.
That's right. Yeah, there's a reason why the Democrats, in the 1860s said, hey, who's going to pick our crops? And then they founded the Klan afterwards. And there's a reason why in 2025 they're saying who's going to pick our crops as we deport the illegals. And then we find out the SPLC, which is all backed by Democrats, is funding the Klan. So it's crazy how things have not changed in 100 years. Just want to throw that out there.
Fair enough. Thank you so much, Five. Calvin, is it working
Testing.
yet?
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you, brother.
Okay, I flipped my switch off my volume. Okay, sorry about that. So my questions, I actually put it did a super chat, but I can ask it since I'm here. Gibbs, I didn't know you talked this fast until tonight. I had seriously have to go back and watch this on a lower speed. But my question,
and I'm not on any uppers today. We are good noodle today. We're just on vitamin D, as in vitamin D. Let's go.
Okay,
Woo,
I'm sorry. I think someone made a joke about it in the chat, but I'm not gonna say what they said. But
they said I'm doing that Yano, baby. Woo!
I apologize.
That's another reason we should conquer Colombia.
I apologize in advance. My questions may be something that you already answered before, or someone's probably asked. I didn't, catch your opening or whatever. So my questions are really just basic in nature. Question for you: am I correct that the Republicans, for the most part, ran in 2024 campaigns on being this isolationist, and that you weren't going to meddle with other countries, and we're going to stay to ourselves, and that the Democrats were the ones that are going to start World War III and do all this other stuff? Am I correct in that assertion?
Cal, that is a fantastic question, and the answer is yes and no. So there's examples of us, the Republicans running. They ask we want to leave certain countries, we don't want forever wars, etc. However, at the same time, there's evidence, like I said, with Carg Island going back to the 80s, Trump saying that, hey, if Iran fucks around with us, they've been a problem since 79. They're going to get a whooping. I think that, Trump has been consistent on doing surgical strikes as opposed to we had 13 people dead as opposed to how many people died in both Iraq and Afghanistan, right? These are targeted. We didn't have anybody die in Venezuela. The idea that we're totally isolationist, I think, is a mischaracterization. I think people don't really understand what he was talking about when he was saying that. He was trying to get us out of wars and then not get us into long, prolonged conflicts. And I think so far we've seen him be pretty surgical with the military. So no, I don't think he is. I don't think that is totally correct. I think it's not totally incorrect either, because it's more of, like I said, this idea of what kind of wars we're getting involved in and how we use our military, right? Mike.
So to follow up on that, surgical strikes, I can understand that, but you would agree that this current thing that he did is not a surgical strike, right?
Sure, but I would also caveat: this is not a new war. We've been a proxy war with him since '79. So that
this is not a new war.
No, this wouldn't fall into not for me at least. I mean, other people might disagree, and I mean honestly, Calvin, there's a big group of Republicans that feel the way you do and that voted because of that. There's also groups like me who would argue that they're confused. So I think that there's some truth to what you're asking, and there are stated and some not truth to it as well. It's both.
I think you're playing fast with the words a little bit. So
sure. Well, I think we all do that.
Well, so you saying this is not a new war? I mean, we weren't in war with Iran. Is that correct? Is that a correct thing?
I mean, did we ever go to war with Russia during the Cold War? But no, but we were at war with him, right? It's the same thing with Iran.
Gibbs, my question is not. It's not complex. It's not algebra. It's basic math.
Okay.
We were not at war with Iran. Is that a true statement?
I mean, we were at war with Iran in the same manner we were at war with Russia during the Cold War. So no, we were not technically at war, but we were at war. So yeah, you're right, and you're wrong.
This is news to me. I didn't know we were at war when we were.
Would you agree that we were at war with Russia during the Cold War, like in a manner of speaking?
I can't answer that question. I apologize. I'm not a good historian. I apologize, Gibbs.
Sure, that's fair. I mean, the argument I would make is that Iran has been funding terror groups to fight our influence, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. There's other groups. Like the whole time they've been doing proxy strikes. They've taken American ships. They've used the military powers and like economic, coercion against us. I would say this is a Cold War at minimum. I would say it's probably a lukewarm war the way they fund terrorist groups to attack us. And so, yeah, I would say we've been at war with them since '79 in one war in a Cold War fashion.
Gibbs, what was for the layman person that's out there, the person, the average.
We've been at war with them since they took all the people from the embassy.
The average citizen who was voting in 2024 and the average voter who was out there, we understood. Would you say it would be an accurate statement that we understood that we were not at war with Iran? Is that
I would say that is an accurate statement, and it's disappointing because they don't know history.
Okay. I was just making sure.
We need to educate you all about we were being at war the whole time.
Okay. My last question is, or my last concern is, I was hearing what you were saying about Greenland. I didn't hear a whole lot about your philosophy about what you did because I didn't hear your opening statement, and I could not follow a lot what you were saying. But I did pick up some things, and my concern with you and your rhetoric and Trump, you guys are making it seem like we are a bully on the global stage.
We are a bully.
Say it again.
We are a bully.
Okay. You agree. So, my question: nobody likes
bully.
Yeah. Okay. My concern, my concern for America is nobody likes a bully. Nobody likes a bully. They root against the bully. So, and we can't fight everybody. We can't.
Well, that's debatable, to be totally honest. But okay,
I'm saying we can't watch every door, every corner, every person in America. If somebody wants to get us, if the whole world teams up against us,
we would. Maybe it's probably like 60% likely. Yeah. We would probably end the world before we lost completely. Like that's how fucking ahead we are, far ahead of everybody.
We can't if someone can stop put some minds up and mess up our economy all the way over in Iran, I'm certainly they can do a lot more to injure us by the whole world teaming up against us. I don't see.
I'm not saying we win. I'm saying it's like 40% chance we win, and then like higher percent chance we just take everybody else out with us. I mean, there's not going to be anybody winning that war. Like we're that far. But your argument,
we can even win against Iran. We was asking NATO for help, so I don't see how that's safe.
Well, I did cover that. We tested them because we knew they wouldn't do it, and they failed. And now we're renegotiating our alliance with the right people over there that have the ability to fight, like Poland.
Well, right. At least if you sitting up there sticking your finger in your friend's eye all the time, every day of the week or whatever, you don't expect that friend to be there for you.
You're right, and they've been sticking their finger in our eye for years, living off our fucking goodwill, and now they're getting a taste of the dick. No, and they're not liking it. That's crazy.
No, that's not the truth. That's not the truth.
It's the truth. I mean, have you ever talked to a French person in France? They're like fucking Americano. Like, they don't like you at all. These people think they know better than us. They're like, "Oh, you have a guns, we have a healthcare." I'm like, "Bro, you don't have AC. Shut the fuck up."
Well, that's low light shade stuff like that. That's how people play. But on a global stage, I haven't seen this much contention since Donald Trump stepped in the scene. There was from my vantage point, there was a whole lot of harmony amongst NATO or whatever until Donald Trump stepped on the scene. So to say that, to get mad, I wouldn't get mad at these people for doing that, because if you're gonna talk disrespectful and do disrespectful stuff, like you said, you applauded them. trying to take Greenland. I'm just saying you can't expect our friends just to be there for us when we want them if we're going to talk trash to them like
No, I think they've done absolutely what I'm prescribing the U.S. should be doing. Is they were getting all their military stuff, like basically supported by us. We were doing all the military work for them, and they had to do the bare minimum. Okay, they were able to have social programs because of that, right? That's benefits to them. More power to them. They were doing the right thing for those countries. However, now we're going, you know what? You've been living off the teat of America for too long. It's time to renegotiate and see who's talking about actually partnering up and doing the things that we want you to do, or who's getting booted to the curb.
Okay, I mean, I agree with that. If they've been taking advantage of that, I don't have a problem. Even Obama, you would agree. Obama says, they weren't doing their 2%, all that stuff. You're you're more experienced or knowledgeable in this area, so I'll give you that. But I just wanted to bring that up. I guess you're not even concerned about being perceived as a bully, so that was my only.
No, I think that back to the bully thing. I think this is the last thing I'll hit you with is that, like, yeah, we are the biggest bully. We are the bully, but like, if you could tell me one sport or one organization or anything where everybody likes number one, no, most people want to take out number one because they want to be number one. Like, I don't blame other countries for wanting to do this, but the idea that we're all getting along is bullshit. Like, China's going to look out for number one first. Russia's going to look out for number one first. These are the people that are like carving up their spheres of influence. Russia proved with the annexing the Crimea and there's all the stuff in Georgia that neo-imperialism is done, right? The idea of this world order where we all get along, liberal world order, that's done. China's been doing stuff with like this stuff in Nepal back in the day. They've done other stuff that's threatening to take Taiwan. They're moving their own moves. Like, they're trying to get stronger. Like, these countries look out for themselves, and this idea that we're all getting along is naive. At this point, it's time to stop playing the game like we have competitors that are trying to move up in the rankings, and we do have.
Well, I don't want to hold up too much time, but Gibbs, I would say what you're saying is not altogether accurate. That's not. I mean, at least from my vantage point, yeah, China is going to look out for China. Russia has been looking out for Russia, but in terms of our allies and whatever, we never had this.
Is there a dog running around, Brian, or something?
That sounds like somebody needs to put ice in the drink. That's what it sounds like. Look, let me tell you
something. I need to do as soon as I finish
like,
here. I've never been ready for a video
now.
In my life. I gotta get some ice and take a piss.
That is ice. That's what I hear. Let me tell you this, Calvin. Hush your face for a second. First off, when you talk about this bully,
hold on, because we're almost done with Q&A, Gemini, and then we go into full. No, I
was not going to disrespect them. I was going back to AG and stand on topic. I'm behaving.
Hold on, we're only doing just one at a time right now. We lost Brian. Something happened. Calvin, I wanted to give you a second to finish up your thought before you were interrupted by ice or whatever it was.
I wanted to say, Gibbs, I hear what you're saying, but prior to this day, our allies did not deny us access until Donald Trump came on the scene. That's just objective facts. So to say what you said really doesn't add up in terms of whatever. We are becoming a bully more so than ever before because we didn't have this situation with our allies until Trump stepped on the scene. And that's all I'll say.
Yeah, I like I said, I disagree. I think that I'm excited to get into this. Hopefully we get more because, like you said, your perception is like most people would say we weren't at war with Iran. I would think that's a false perception, but I understand why most people see that. Most people, the average person says, "Oh, I don't see direct bombing." I get it, right? But like I'm sitting there seeing a realignment. Like I don't necessarily see the idea that we need to always be friends with the same people that we're always friends with, right? If we maybe came to a deal with Ukraine now, they're the drone gods of the world. Maybe we make a new deal with Ukraine. Now they're military strong, right? They're pushing Russia out. They got position power. Let's negotiate there. Maybe we make deals with other people. India's making more deals with us than ever before. Like we're making deals with people that we never made deals with. Poland is dealing with us directly instead of NATO for the most part now, right? The Baltic states have their own organization that wants to deal with us directly instead of NATO. So we're making new deals outside of this. I think that we need to reevaluate alliances that I don't think have always been beneficial to us. I think they were beneficial in the past. But now it's a new era. I think neo-imperialism worked for a time, but the times have changed, and it's time to capitalize on this change in times. I think that's where we're at.
Perfect. Thank you, Calvin. Brian, welcome. Just in time for your turn. I don't know if you've been watching so far this evening, but Gibbs is discussing Fortress America and Trump's kind of plan and what he's doing to make moves in the benefit of America. Any general thoughts? I don't know how long you've been watching for, but any general thoughts so far to Gibbs and what he's been talking about at all? Can you hear me, Brian? Can you hear me? No.
You figure that out in his restroom.
Go ahead,
I don't
Gibbs.
think
Go
he
ahead.
knows he's on.
Brian. Earth to Brian. Earth to Brian.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Sorry. When I take my laptop out on a trip and I change some of the modifications, I never put it back to the way it should be. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. I know all about that, especially when my power goes out and then suddenly all my settings change. So
Yeah, and my ear set thing isn't working either, so it has to be charged. So I'm doing everything through my laptop right now.
you got to get a pair of plugins for instances like this. It helps so much. But Brian, I don't know how long you've been watching for, but Gibbs, who just stepped away to use the restroom, has been talking about Fortress America and what Trump is doing to kind of set up America to build on kind of, they're calling it the Donroe Doctrine versus what would have been the Monroe Doctrine. And we're setting ourselves up in ways that America just benefits. We're not necessarily allying ourselves with people, but we're going and making our places out there, like the trades, the ports, and so on and so forth. So I didn't know if you had any initial thoughts of anything that Gibbs has been talking about so far, or if you want to maybe add a thought in, or wherever you are on that.
Well, to be honest with you, the last 24 hours, my focus has been on all the breaking news today. So I might be the wrong person, but today I've been talking, of course, about this deal with Iran and how Trump is continuing to fuck America, for lack of a better term. So I don't know if you guys have been discussing that at all. But that's
Gibbs,
what I've
did
been
you
doing
tap into Iran? I think you tapped into
I
Iran.
did tap into Iran, but let's go. Why don't I hear your take? Because I'm ready. I can read up and make sure I'm up to date while you tell me why I'm wrong about Iran and all these good jazz.
Well, I don't even know where to begin. First of all, we heard for years about Obama, with this $1.7 billion to Iran, which, by the way, wasn't taxpayer funded money, and it was frozen dating back to the 1970s. But now apparently all of a sudden $300 billion with the USA helping to facilitate that is just fine. The Strait of Hormuz was opened 4 months ago. Now they're tolling. And just to open up the Strait of Hormuz, we're lifting sanctions. I say we, I mean the Trump administration, lifting sanctions on Iran, helping to build up their infrastructure again. We're talking $500 billion. And then we're supposed to just believe, oh, no, we're not furthering our nuclear capabilities. They provided no evidence to the American people that they have been furthering their nuclear capabilities. It's very simply put, and even people on the right, the far right, agree that this is a disaster. We're basically, rewarding a bunch of terrorists and an evil regime for Donald Trump's fuck up for going into the war in the first place, which he should have never done. We were better off 4 months ago than we are, even if they signed this agreement, which I believe they will on Friday. It's complete desperation on Donald Trump's part. He wants out of this war. It was fucked up to begin with. They didn't think it through. And because of that, now they're going to have, $150 billion in infrastructure, which they're going to rebuild, and Trump helping to facilitate $300 billion for Iran, where I heard for years all these people complaining about the 1.7 billion.
Well,
Obama,
you said that's a good question right there. You bring up 300 billion. You said it's the United States is going to help facilitate that. That seems like an interesting word choice. Is there any reason why you use those words exactly to help facilitate that?
Well, sure, because that's the language that was used in the 14-point plan agreement. They're not just handing them $300 billion,
right?
But Donald Trump is.
They're not. The U.S. isn't giving them $300 billion.
No, but
how are they getting that 300? An international community is coming together,
yes,
maybe releasing some of their funds that we have under our control, and the international community. Would that be a fair assessment of how they're getting that $300 billion?
We're also unfreezing any funds that were available to them to begin with. Also,
after Scott Bennison said that if they shoot any missiles, that we would just use that to pay for the shit.
And then And then infrastructure coming out of our own pockets is somewhere estimated between 120 and 150 billion dollars to help rebuild.
I also read that we're going to be having American companies help rebuild that infrastructure. So it seems like non-American money is going to help fund infrastructure being rebuilt by Americans. That seems like more money for America coming back.
No, it's not more money.
Right?
It's certainly
American
not more
companies making money by building reconstruction.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that was in the fine print in the 14-point plan. But what I will tell you is that basically Iran is getting rewarded if you read this plan for going and closing the Strait of Hormuz and now reopening it with tolls. We were better off 4 months ago. We were told also that this was about uranium. This was about enriched uranium. Donald Trump said today, forget about it. Not that important. It's underneath some mountain. That's literally what he said in a press conference today when we were told this is why we went in there to begin with. I think when you read this plan, it's very simply put, unfortunately, we lost. And Iran won. They're getting basically everything they want. Everything they want, they're getting. And it's really unfortunate, besides the fact that this is, ruined our economy. You look at gas prices, you look at inflation.
So wait, was the tolls thing in fine print? Because it seems to me like that's something that they said they're going to be discussed at a later date, whether them and Oman are going to get control of the tolls, if they're going to get control at all. And if they don't, and then I feel like Trump also said if they try to get nuclear weapons, which they agreed to this, if they're not going to have nuke weapons at all, if they do any of these things, what is going to happen? We're just going to take out their current crop of leaders and put a new group in there.
Yeah,
that does exactly what we want, right? Yeah. That's
how awful that worked out. Donald Trump's been talking a tough game every day, but in the end, he's giving in. And as I mentioned before, the Strait of Hormuz was open 4 months ago. We were in a better position than we're in right now. Iran is holding all the cards, and yes, you're right. In 2 months, there's going to be this reassessment. So what? Who cares? We're taking Iran at their word with anything. And by the way, this also has nothing to do with Israel. Israel's supposed to be our allies, and I don't defend the Israeli government.
Do you agree that we're like a net exporter of oil?
Yes. Why don't you take a look at?
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. If we shut down the Strait of Hormuz and China, who was getting 50% of their oil from Venezuela, and they were getting, or 40%, and then they were getting about 50% from Iran. And then we control the Strait of Malacca where they get 80% of their oil go through. And they just in May agreed to buy U.S. oil. This seems like that's going to raise the U.S. economy because Iran, their biggest customer, would be China. If Iran's not selling to them, we're taking up their market share. This just seems like, I don't know, the American empire version of Rockefeller economics. And we know that worked out really pretty good for Americans and Rockefeller. And I feel like, why would you not want us to sell American oil abroad? Why do you want Iran to have a bigger market share than America in this regard?
Well, first of all, as I said before, Iran is holding all the cards here. They're in control of the Strait of Hormuz, and they have more power now than they did 4 months ago. And I would say, number two, look at where the economy is at right now. If you want to look towards the future and say, hey, this could be good. This could be good for the American economy. This could be good. Everything has been bad since this war started. Inflation up, gas prices almost twice as much as they were when Donald Trump first took office. And every single day, I've heard it every day from Donald Trump, they're begging to make a deal. No, they're not. No, they're not. Donald Trump is begging to end this war. You got the midterms right around the corner, and he has given in. You heard what Mike Pence, and by the way, I am not a Mike Pence fan, but you heard what Mike Pence said yesterday with Caitlin Collins. Mike Pence says, listen, you already made the decision to go in there. We're already in this war. Don't give in. That's exactly what Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have done. They have given in to this evil, murderous regime. Now, I don't think we should have been there to begin with, but this has been a complete and total disaster by every standard.
I feel like, once again, I mean, by every metric, first, KD ratio, that's a metric most people use, but it's like 1,000,000 to 1. Two, we've just completely destroyed their conventional military, wildly successful. They have all their new tech that China and Russia supplied them has proven to be bogus between this and Venezuela, worthless. That's increased our sales abroad to other countries that are not even in NATO or whatnot countries. When we talk about oil, they're buying our oil, increasing our market share. We shut down a solid competitor and member of brick/sink. This is wonderful news for us, and overall, like it increases their power abroad. I don't know why that would be a bad thing. When you say that these leadership has been great, the leadership is gone. The Ayatollah is gone. Arguably, his son might be dead too. Yeah, I mean, listen, we have this. We know that right now. This is a report from 3 weeks ago. This is a report from 3 weeks ago when they were getting attacked. We know that their military was in a state where they had their mid-level people operating autonomously because they couldn't get any orders from their higher-ups because we were bombing them so quickly. This was reported on in the Jerusalem Times. This was reported on the U.S. military stuff. This was reported on national. I don't know. I don't know where, I can give other sources. I don't know. I don't know exactly what right-wing publication you're reading that from, but let me just give you some actual facts. It's got to be a right-wing publication. This was some. I was about to name some foreign ones, but I guess they're all. I'm sure the Indian Times is definitely a right-wing foreign publication. One reasonable human being that can read this 14-point plan and look at me with a straight face and say, "This is good for America. This is wonderful for America. This is a country ass whipping." Well, I think you're crazy. First of all, this is basically. I may be crazy, but I'm correct. So this is basically No, you're not. This is basically exactly what the JCPOA already did. But you could also make the argument that this is much worse, with now $300 billion to Iran for all the damage that they have caused. We've spent $200 billion bombing them, and now they're going to be rewarded with $300 billion. Not of our money, though. Not of now they've used the Strait of Hormuz as leverage. It's leverage for them. They hold the cards, and then we're supposed to be on an honor system. Oh yeah, by the way, in 2 months, we'll assess. You know what they're going to do with that money? They're going to continue to hate America. They're going to continue. I agree. The world. That's what's going to happen to this. They are going to continue to hate America, and then when they act up, we're going to bomb them again, and then $300 billion at them is going to make it worse. They're going to have more power. This is not our money. Though. Listen, it's not going to be more powerful. How is it more powerful? They're going to listen. If they spend $300 billion, they won't even be back to where they're at right now. We have completely decimated. Like two of these radar systems. Two of these radar systems cost like several, like 30, 50 million. Yeah, we know this is true. We know how much these radar systems cost. We know what China and ever selling. We like. The same language. We know the Shahad missile costs $40K, right? No. If we times that by like 5,000, right? That's like several million, right? Okay, boom, right there. We're already had like a chunk of the way through the first billion. Like it's not going to take. It doesn't matter. They have to rebuild their infrastructure for their people. They have to rebuild their military because it's decimated. Yeah, they're going to have to give their proxies their money. It's not our money. That's clear from the reason why you said facilitate. And I made sure to ask you that because once again, it's not our money. It's going to be other people's money and their money. And if they bomb other people, we know Scott Bennison said they're not going to get as much of that money. These are all things we know happened today. Okay, I mean, you can try to spin this however you want. But I'm not. Okay, here's what I would ask you to do. I'm not trying to spin anything. I read the 14-point plan. Apparently, you didn't read it. I'm not talking about the $300 billion. Other than the $300 billion, there's also around between $100 and $150 billion that is going to help them with restructuring. That's what I was saying. And listen, that verbiage that you're using right now, the verbiage you used that verbiage. I was just quoting you, and I asked you specifically why you used that verbiage. I didn't. It was a good tactic, though. No, facilitate. The facilitate word was used when it comes to the $300 billion. I'm talking about a completely separate entity, and I think you're confused. I'm not the 300. No, you are. The $300 billion that I'm referring to has nothing to do with infrastructure. Okay? These are once again your words. We can go read back and watch the tape. I mean, they're like the 150 billion is another thing, which I refer with this one right here today. That just happened in the last 5 minutes. We can rewind. We can rewind. Good words. See a clip coming. Let me put a little pin in that, and I will 110% let the two of you get back to your battle zone here shortly. Balderson, I wanted to confirm, sir, because I know you've lost your voice. You don't have to say anything. I wanted to give you the opportunity to either pass or ask a question, but I don't want to force you to talk because I know you're all you need your singing voice.
Yeah, my voice is wrecked. I was just going to say that was the best impression of Oh Father from The Boys that I've ever seen, Gibbs. Very good. Very good. Thank you. I was going for it.
All right. You know what that means, folks. Number one, you have hit your dono go, so we will move to the gauntlet here in just a second. So let me read this. Bad Gemini, is it your birthday today? No? 2 days tomorrow. Why are you not talking? Is there a dick in your mouth, sir?
Of all the people, you can do that, especially because they already addressed me as looking like an R&B singer from the 90s. You don't have to add questions to my legacy. But no, that is not. Don't confuse the people.
Hey, no, I just gotta say real quick.
Prerogative.
Birthday was 2 days ago.
Oh, 2 days
so
ago.
you know.
Well,
happy
then
birthday.
I will give it to you. Ready? Are you ready for it, Gemini?
I'm ready.
Hey, Sarah.
Hold on, Kraut. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear bad Gemini. Beam, 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 beam. Happy birthday to you. I always feel like I work at like I don't know, what is the Applebee's or something. Like, let's sing happy birthday. All right, Kraut makes it in the Big Ten, says hashtag Vegas. Yes, keep hitting the hashtag Vegas. I think we can get rid of about 70 people, maybe 80% of international trade. I also have a counterpoint for Gibbs on his proposal for America holding a monopoly on trade. All right, hold that, put a pin in it. Kraut, and we'll come back to it in just a second. Calvin says had mic issues, but I do believe, Calvin, you did ask these questions though, correct? You were able to, we were able to get through them. And of course, Calvin says Iran got Trump by the balls. Hashtag sad. All right, I'm going to go ahead and kick off the gauntlet. Kraut, why don't you kick us off with a thought? Everyone can start chiming in now. We are officially in full gauntlet mode. Who's got something in the background? Oh, Kraut, you got someone in the background. Effigy is hanging out backstage. If you'd like to get his ass up here, you know the drill. I am putting Brian and Gibbs. Gibbs, of course, already has immunity, but I'm putting Brian on immunity status as well because it was a personal invite to come hang out with us. And if I send you a personal invite, I imagine you would probably not appreciate you getting booted from the scene. So
we also need lefties. I don't want to just argue with the righties all night. That's lame.
True.
Is that better, sir?
What's that?
Is that better in the background?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I don't know. Were you watching porn in the background or something?
Nah, my wife was home. She was watching TV, but her ass has to wake up at 4 a.m. So I told her to get to bed. But anyway, so two things real quick before I bring up my point I mentioned in that. First of all, Bad Gemini, May 22nd, bro. Second,
you just made the cut.
Yeah, bro. You look like Michael J. White, bro. Don't lie. Anybody ever tell you
Look,
that before?
I get called every black person, so thank you for adding me.
Every time he joins,
I ain't gonna call you no
every
Shaq
time
or
Gemini,
Flavor Flav, but you do look like Michael J.
Every time Gemini joins,
list.
it's always like Denzel Washington. Like it's like they go down the list of black men to say that Bad Gemini looks like.
Yes,
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly, Uncle Luke, all of them, whoever you want to think about. Thank you for giving me the 58 different name. I feel flattered.
Do you have a list?
I'll have to go with Brad Pitt next time.
Oh goodness, there you go.
All
right. And Kraut, sorry, I'm going to go ahead and shut down on the Raging Tomato side. If you're watching, you need to head over to the Gauntlet over on YouTube. That is at the Gauntlet Debate on YouTube. Head over there and we will continue our show and have some more fun. All right, we are officially in full open panel mode. Kraut, go